Moo.
Hi, everybody. I'm sick. Welcome to the final for real finale of the Higurashi Book Club. Joining me today is the classic crew. We've got ourselves a Numbers.
Hi.
Don't sound too excited, Numbers.
Hi. Hello.
Oh,
hey, how you doing?
There you go.
I love y'all. I love people.
We've got ourselves a Gale. Gale, I hear a bunch of good things about YDSP.
Oh yeah, there's this game called Higurashi Peril, and it'll be coming out next month, either on 4/8 or 4/20, and I think everyone should play it. And guess who my favorite character is? Because I'm insane. Thank you.
I thought you were going to tell us the character.
No, I'm not going to. You have to guess who it is.
Oh,
if I tell you,
okay.
It might give away something.
Oh, okay. Indestructible Cat, how are you doing?
I had a very cursed thought when we were doing the move, and that someone's probably drawn Oishi in like a cow bikini.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Like the Silent Hill 3 Douglas shorts, the heart shorts, but with little cows. Like it's the black polka dots. Yeah.
Okay, listen.
If someone has done that, they should tell me who's done that so that I know where to avoid them.
Like, okay, listen, I've looked on Pixiv for a lot of stuff. I was looking around for, like, anything of Takano. There's, like, no fucking art of adults in Higurashi on Pixiv.
What?
Yeah.
That's nonsense. That's nonsense.
Like, I'm sure that there's, like, doujins from, like, the early 2000s, maybe, but, like, nothing, like, very modern or even, like, within the last decade.
But we are starved for Oishi content.
Absolutely starved. Oishi
That's
fuckers
so
like
weird.
myself just have no idea what to do with themselves.
It's weird because like
Really
a lot of
sad.
anime right now is just about like being stepped on, so I don't.
Oh,
Higurashi was
just,
ahead of the curve.
The Kai anime.
Well, we've also got ourselves a Talsreal, the fellow first-time Higurashi enjoyer. What's up, bud?
Finally caught up on all the main stuff.
Hell yeah. And finally, bringing up the rear, last but definitely not least, we've got ourselves a Yawn. How you doing, Yawn?
Hi, my hands are going to hurt. I'm doing a lot of digital art lately.
Oh, for a video
so
game?
Proud of her.
A video game that you're making?
What's the name of the video game?
It's called Higurashi Peril. It's a visual novel.
Wow. Where can I... Wow. Is there like some kind of server I could join? Are you going to post it on itch.io?
Yeah, it'll be on itch.io, and I have a dev server, and I can link it if you want it.
Now let's say I
gotta
want to
hear
give
about
you
this.
money. Where would I do that?
Do you have a Patreon? Do you have a
No.
Patreon?
When I put it on itch.io, I'll have an optional donation. It's free. Just
I
if
can't
you want
believe
to, it's optional.
I can't believe this.
Here we are just bullying Jan with their
How
game.
dare she make an entire video game?
The entire time we were doing this, Yawn was making a fucking video game. That's wow. Also,
Yeah, crazy.
if you need a way of like sort of remembering it, just YDSP, but then the last P is PEE. So
I hate you.
it's an inside joke. What's up, everybody? Welcome. We are here to talk. We did it. We did it. We for real did it. We all beat the massive, daunting project of playing all, including the unofficial last arc of Higurashi. No Nakakoro ni Higurashi When They Cry. Everybody, you did it. You did it. Pat yourselves on the back. You fucking did it. If you joined us for the YouTube like stuff and you were reading along, congrats to you. Wow, indeed. Thank you, Ursula Cat. I can't, in a lot of ways, it's kind of incredible because one of the things that I was really interested in is whether or not I would get bored of reading this, because it's a lot. Like, we're starting off with okay, so just to let everybody know, we're starting this VOD off with basically like we're going to do a spoiler-free just chat session for the first like half an hour ish, just to get people to understand like why we did this, what we got out of it, and why maybe you should consider, spending some time and doing it yourself. And that's one of the things that I wanted to tackle right off the bat is it is daunting. It is a lot to read. We could have read it faster, clearly, but we were doing it for the YouTube. We were doing it for the streams. We were having a good time, just like savoring it, like a really like delicious like 3 or 4 or 5 course meal, just savoring every little bit. And let me get something straight out of the gate. Doing it with a book club, reading Higurashi with other people, absolutely recommend doing that. Absolutely wonderful. Everybody here has been such an amazing resource for not only intelligent discussion about Higurashi, but also a way of just sort of appreciating it from multiple like perspectives. And I really, really recommend doing it for yourself if you can. Read it with friends. Read it with, enemies. Read it with your parents. Read it with cops.
Don't read it with cops.
Don't read it with cops. I'm joking. Let's not go that far. Read it with other people. And just one of the things that I loved about this was, especially early on, was the mystery aspect. The mysteries that are going on in this series are really, they're way deeper than you might realize, especially early on. And it was such a fun process of like throwing ideas out there, seeing what stuck, figuring things out, and like coming to realizations as a group, and just kind of working through it as, a team, I guess. Our book club was a little messed up because we had some people who kind of knew. I'm side-eyeing Kat, who knew and would actively fuck with us, the new people. But that's also fun in its own way. It was a lot of fun, like seeing the eyes, the fucking robot eyes and the shifty eyes in the chat when we were playing, and some of the reveals are just fucking batshit, just absolute bonkers. And it was just a good fucking time. And so I think if the question is right off the bat, no spoilers. If the question you're having is Higurashi worth the time? I would say emphatically, fuck yeah. Like, this was a wonderful, like, this is everything that I want from horror. And it's then some, because it's not horror all the way. Let's be real. There are moments of just childlike glee. There are fun moments. There are incredibly gut-wrenching. Like, legitimately, you watch some of these VODs, I'm holding back tears. Like, some absolute gut-wrenching moments. And it's all for such a good, like, it's all serving such a good story, such a good plot, such amazingly written characters. It's just totally worth your time. And so that's kind of my thing. Like, that I really wanted, to see, like, I initially started doing this because I was curious about Silent Hill F. That's it. Nothing more. I just heard some people saying like, oh yeah, this is the same guy. We were doing there's the same guy who did Higurashi, because Ryukishi's name came up during the Silent Hill stream, like the event, the transmission event. And everyone was losing their minds about like all the other games and stuff. But then that one Silent Hill F teaser came on at the very end. And it was by far the most interesting thing on that stream, hands down, no contests. And when people started losing their minds when Ryukishi 07's name popped up, for me it was like, what's going on here? What am I missing? And so the process of figuring out, like, not only is this series like incredibly well received, but also one of the premier, best, hands down, like, horror VNs. And also, I heard a lot of good things about the horror anime adaptation, which it was definitely horrific. And just real quick sidebar: don't watch the anime. VN's way better. Just don't. Like the the anime eventually gets better with the last 2 arcs, but like don't even. There's way too much piss.
Yeah, if you watch it with the dub, because at least then it's schlocky.
I would highly recommend watching it after you've played the VN. Like what I was doing was playing the VN, and after I got done with an arc, I would go and watch the anime. But you got to be careful about that too, because sometimes they just throw in spoilers. Like there's this really weird fast forward in like arc 2 of the anime, and it was weird. It was like it was there just to be like to have a slasher gore moment, and it's really strange. That said, I've been talking for a while, but I just wanted to say that, like, you know, the reason I got into this was for, you know, to see if Silent Hill F was going to be good, to see if Silent Hill F was something I should be excited about. And what I got out of this was a very amazing, incredible experience in its own right. And yes, there's anime bullshit. Yes, you have to prep yourself for that. Yes, oh my God, there's some incredibly frustrating moments that could have been handled so much better. And I guarantee would be handled better by Ryukishi if, you know, he were to rewrite this today. But for what it is, for when it came out, and for the main thrust of where it's going, it is an incredibly affecting, interesting tale. And if you're interested in any like small town horror stuff, like, come on, give it a shot. The first fucking arc is free on Steam. Like, come on, just try that and see if you like it. Again, I came in here because I'm a Silent Hill fan, and Silent Hill fans will have a ton to eat when they go into this for the first time. There's so much that's similar. Like, I was asking Gail earlier if Ryukishi used, you know, Silent Hill as an inspiration, and Gail was like, actually, he specifically said, like, after Silent Hill F was announced, that yes, he's been a fan for a long time, and of Siren, and you can see it. You can see it. It's there. It's pretty glaringly obvious from the get-go. So yeah, I've been talking too long. That's my piece. No spoilers review of Higurashi is extremely good, heartfelt, wonderful story, wonderful tale about friendship and empathy, really. Which when you know shares some themes with Silent Hill, some of the Silent Hills. Not so much friendship, but definitely of empathy and understanding other people's perspectives. Not well. I won't get into. I won't get into the nitty gritty. That I'll suffice it to say that's my review. Fucking. All right, I'll do it. I don't like doing this, but 10 out of fucking 10. 10 out of 10. Perfect. Like, there are some aspects that suck, but on the whole, fucking, like, it's totally worth it. Like, the good far outweighs the bad. I'm a Higurashi fan. I'm sorry. I did it. Y'all did it to me. Y'all got me fucked up. All right. And with that, anyone else want to talk about spoiler free, like, recommendations, reasons to stay away, issues, things that you love, anything like that?
Can I jump in with mine?
Mm-hmm. Go for it.
All right, so I wrote some of this down just to kind of get my thoughts in order. I really like how it emphasizes the importance of understanding people and showing how environments and experiences shape people. It has a very strong sense of cause and effect, so that in order to understand why things are happening, you have to understand what's happened to cause the situation. You have to understand how people have been affected. You have to understand how they feel and what they're going through. It starts off with some very strong and effective horror, then it grows to something, changes a little bit, but it's not in a bad way. It just changes where the tonal focus is, I think, just so you understand. Like you don't get like have the wrong expectation. I think it still does maintain a lot of very good horror though. I think it's because Ryukishi wanted to be responsible with his work and doesn't want to handle certain topics with the wrong framing or tone, so that his feelings are better understood with a, again, as Bob said, a focus on empathy. I think he really understands what makes good horror function, and for the most part, with some otaku pandering aside, he does a great job handling tone and framing without falling into harmful or exploitative pitfalls that horror or thriller stories can easily veer into. Um, he's really good at giving you mysteries and puzzles that you want to solve and understand better. Well, if you're a decent reader, a lot of people, no matter how good the story is, it really comes down to who the person is reading it. But it's done in such a way that really emphasizes the characters and their inner workings. Like, you might not be able to piece together all of the logical elements of the mysteries at play, but if you pay attention, you'll come to understand the most important parts. And I think that's really where its strengths are. So I really do think it like shows he does have an appreciation for the genre, and it does play with, some of the rules in a certain way, but I think it's done right. I think it's done in such a way where it's like, yeah, no, that's justified or understandable at the very least.
Totally agreed. Absolutely agreed. Thank you, Jan. Anyone else want to jump in and talk about spoiler-free impressions? Review.
Gail, you had some research. Did you want to get into that, or did you want to wait for that?
I love Gail research. Fuck
Well,
yeah.
I had a couple things that I thought were useful. I'll kind of like mention why I think people should read Higurashi though first. I've been interested in Higurashi since I was 13. I'm 30 right now. I got into it during the 2006 anime time period. I was reading the manga as it came out, and I liked it a lot, even with all of those issues. And after I turned into my 20s, I was able to finally actually read the visual novel. I had read Mineko, the visual novel, and I'd really liked that. But I'd never had a chance to read all of the Higurashi VNs. And reading those was like night and day between anything that the anime and manga had offered. And it also made me retroactively love everything else I'd read of Ryukishi's even more. I think that it is, for all of its flaws with regards to, as mentioned, otaku pandering, for the fact that it's incredibly long, over 1 million words long of just what Ryukishi himself wrote. And the fact that, like, yes, it's not always edited like very well. Like, there is repetition in the text. Some people might feel that it bogs down certain things at times. But I find it's not just like important as a work coming out in otaku circles that's trying very hard to be progressive, and not just progressive, but also informative about how public institutions work. It is this very genuine and heartfelt story that Ryukishi, his brother, and his best friend BT just about killed themselves to tell. And when you look at his development blog, like, he was working 18 hours a week at his government job and still would write
A day?
200,000. Yeah, 18-hour
Right.
6
Yeah, you said weeks. I just wanted to cut in there.
Thank you. And then 1 day off a week, and that was pretty much it. Kensho Cram mentions, can we get a light explanation of the otaku pandering? Yes, I completely understand disliking it. I would say it's worse up front, but the first 3 chapters, most particularly, they will usually start with sort of slice of life activities, and the kids will play together. And unfortunately, there are some really kind of perverted jokes within that. Some of them aren't necessarily the worst, but you'll have dick jokes. At kind of the other end of the scale, you'll have a joke about selling an 11-year-old to the red light district, which is very strange.
And later in that arc, or actually like the next chapter of that arc, you get probably one of the worst. And I think I mentioned it. It was one of the ones that made me actually legitimately think about stopping. It's interesting because some of these problems can be alleviated by the fact that if you're using 7th mod, you can up the censorship level.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is that unfortunately, a lot of the politics of the game, which there are many, get censored as well. So I feel like
And they're good politics.
Yeah, good politics, not bad politics. Actually, legitimately, kind of mind blowing how political this gets. Not to
Rikishi
spoil
07
anything, but
socialist propaganda.
it is. Yes, politics in your video games.
I
Also,
say this very positively.
Talsreal, I love that you. I think Ketchakram was making a joke about the Chivos and headshots, and I love how you just were like, "Yep, 14 Chivos per arc and book."
Headshot count is a secret. Thank you, Tal.
Well, that
Good
we
shit.
are in the non-spoiler section after all.
It's true. Well, you
we'll
just
learn
spoiled that
about
there
the
are headshots, but but yes, to be clear, Ketchakram, you want, for good and bad, you want the original text. Yes, I was the same way, and you can turn the censorship level down really, really low to like, I think, Gale, to the point where you get just raw the original text, including how bloated it is.
Yes, and I would kind of like add to that, all of the censorship aspects are from the console releases. It was not 07th mod that was choosing them. Unfortunately, it does leave in some things, including some very unfortunate adult behavior in Arc 3, which is frustrating. And yes. And like the main thing though is the first half of each of those stories will be slice of life, and some of it will have bad jokes, and then some of it will have like a lot of fun and very genuine character development. But once it gets to the second half, that basically all stops. It's completely gone after that point, which is wild to think about considering how, hunky-dory sometimes it can be and how flagrant it can be with its kind of uncomfortable jokes. It's very land of contrasts.
It's one of those things where you can absolutely tell who the original audience was for this, and it's really unfortunate because it's such a good story that felt like, Rikishi and what was his name? BT.
Oh yes.
BT, yeah.
Felt the need to put in like fan servicey type things because of the otaku audience that they were pandering to. It's really
Apparently, according to Gale's research, people were asking him to put in more shit.
Yeah.
So
I can talk a little bit because I went through his development blog for early info because I thought it'd be good to have some of that context.
I do, Kenchakram, before Gale talks more about that, I want to say, I don't think that this will be in Silent Hill F. Based on what we've seen so far, I think Rikishi was putting a lot of this stuff in or allowing it to be in, because let's be real, he was the writer, the head of the project. It's in there with his blessing, for good and for bad. It's on him. But at the same time, I think he's largely gone past that.
Absolutely, yeah. Just looking at his most recent works, there's none of this. There's much more good stuff. In all the good stuff you see now, there's more of that in his newer work as well.
And go ahead.
I will say that Rikishi is a big fan of showing levity as well as really horrifying things. So maybe not anime bullshit, but there are going to be, I think there are going to be lighter moments in Silent Hill F, at least two.
Mm-hmm.
Not to
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say the work that I think might most influence Silent Hill F is Higanbana, which does not really have lighthearted moments. It has chill moments, but it's very much a horror story. And so when Ryukishi can very much write horror that does not ever let up. So it definitely depends though. It could really go any way. I do want to mention though that he can write very visceral, but still emotional and meaningfully resonant horror in those contexts.
I think that, and I've said this before, but for this, since people don't have to trawl through all of the book clubs to find me saying this again, I feel like for any Silent Hill fans out there, there was this original idea for the pitch for Silent Hill 5, which was fear in daylight, right? This idea that, like, you know, you can do a horror game where it's like daylight outside, it's like noon, and you can still be scared. Because if you can do that, that's a deep fear that you're instilling that isn't bound by just the lack of being able to see the things around you. There was the original Team Silent was actually working on that kind of an idea, or not the original, but the one that eventually evolved, the one that was rolling over from Silent Hill 4. So largely Akira Yamaoka and the folks associated with that. It eventually became Silent Hill Homecoming. But my point is that originally there was this drive from the team who was working on Silent Hill 5 to do a game that was incredibly terrifying that could also work in broad daylight. Higurashi could absolutely, and Ryukishi can absolutely do that. Like, there are moments in this game where it is absolutely terrifying, and it is bright, like almost noon, like you know, there's light outside. It is horror in a way that is purely implied and makes you fear for the characters involved.
I just want to cut in with
ahead.
sorry. I'm just shaking right here because I want to make this comparison real quick. If you have seen the 70s version of The Wicker Man, not the recent one, the 70s version of The Wicker Man, the original one, there are many similarities in terms of an outsider goes to a more secluded area with more rural, traditional values and culture, learns about stuff gets weird, and much of it is very subtextual, implied, rooted in understanding culture, and it's all in daylight. For like the vast majority of it, it's daylight horror. And that's something that's been around for a good while, but I feel like that's just a really good example, I think, that has a lot of similarities. So if you like the 70s Wicker Man, I think you will find something in here that you will like, because it does those good things for the same reasons. Like, you say, oh, there's this tradition that they do. That's some fucked up implications. Yeah. It delves into stuff like that. It thinks about why traditions are the way that they are, and why culture is the way that why it is the way that it is, and the way that you can be afraid of that stuff in broad daylight in modern society, because it's part of society, you know?
One of the things that I absolutely love about art in general is when it's able to sort of put a mirror to society and kind of criticize things while also being an art in its own right. And that's one of the amazing things that Higurashi does. And one of the amazing things of Kensho, I'm absolutely with you. Like, I barely get excited about stuff. I mean, I'm a Silent Hill fan. We're just jaded cynics by default these days. I mean, you can't have what happened to us with PT and Silent Hills happen and not be completely just dejected about every and any like IP for the rest of your life. That being said, Higurashi and what Rikishi did with it give me hope in a way that it's not about I am excited about Silent Hill being revived. I am excited about Rikishi doing anything with a big brand name IP, because this means that he can take a lot of the incredibly empathetic storytelling that he did with Higurashi, and I'm sure he's done with his other projects, and bring it mainstream. Because I liken the way that Higurashi hit me, especially in very, very strong moments like Arc 3, with moments from oh god, what is it called? The Haunting of Hill House, or The Haunting of Bly Manor. What I like to call emotional horror.
Really good.
And horror that
I think it's good comparison, yeah.
Yeah. Like, they're for me, they're on the same level, and I desperately want that to be brought to especially horror video games, but just horror in general. Like horror is in a bad place, and it's been in a bad place for a while. That's not to say that there haven't been shining like beacons of light here and there with things like Bly Manor and other horror stories like Silent Hill 2. Let's be honest, the whole reason I'm a horror fan or a psychological horror fan is because of Silent Hill 2. I want to go back to that. I want to go back to Silent Hill 2 and what it did for me as a human being. And I feel like that's the thing about Higurashi is like if I read the VN for Higurashi, I think that does the exact same thing that Silent Hill 2 did for me. Maybe a lot longer, but I think that there is so much here that's just so useful for human beings that it really honestly makes me feel better about the horror genre, the horror space in general, because there are people like Rikishi in it who give a damn, who give a fuck. And that's the thing that I want to stress. No spoilers. You can tell, like, even though there are moments of fucking anime bullshit, there are moments of nonsense, there's moments of genuine frustration with how certain topics are being presented in specific perspectives. He gives a fuck. He cares. You can feel it. You can read it. You can see it. He gives a shit. And that is I'm so sad to say that that's rare in this space. Everybody seems to be just out for a buck. Everybody seems to just be putting in the time and just not giving a fuck about the implications of anything. And here you've got Rikishi 20 fucking years ago giving a shit, caring, being a real fucking real one, man. It's just so... it's such a breath of fucking fresh air, and I love it so much. So anyway, that's all I got.
Very true at every level, though.
Yeah.
I would actually, I definitely can add on to that, though, because I find it really, really interesting to talk about the issues of like otaku bullshit fan service. And I've definitely talked about this before, but I think it is helpful for spoiler-free discussion. Higurashi was genuinely groundbreaking when it comes to visual novels and sound novels, because multiple layers of this are things that would never be expected to sell in Japan in this time period. And that is no choices, which, again, very, very uncommon at this time period. Almost every single VN would have at least some kind of choices and diverging narrative that you would go down different routes at. 2, no sex scenes whatsoever. And 3, no CGs. It only has the sprites. And it used, of course, like at release, it used completely free music. It had all of these different little things about it that it only sold 10 to 20 copies at Comic-Con. He sold it for $1. And yeah, actually Numbers does mention there's one CG, which is just, kind of like a separate graphic that's, an individual drawing to give feeling to the scene in episode 6 and no others. The console version does add CGs, though. So if you were to download the 07th mod for the PlayStation sprites, the voice acting, and everything else, you would be able to see those. But all of these things, I think, make Higurashi really fascinating, especially his very strong decision to say, you know what? No, I'm not going to have sex scenes. I'm not going to, have a story that is about romance at all. He sold it basically making it look like it would be a gal game, because prior to starting Higurashi as a novel, he did card games, basically. He would sell little cards that were based on other visual novel series that he liked that were done by Leaf and Key, which, you might have Air or Canon. I believe that he is most well known right now for having done like Clanad, or the Jun Maeda did the the screenwriting for Angel Beats, the anime. And so he had a very sort of like, I guess you could say, moe art style, very cartoony art style. And he purposefully wanted to use that to his benefit in kind of breaking other people's expectations. And yeah, I agree with you on. I love the art style of it. I totally understand why others might not. It is very late 90s, early 2000s. But I do think it's worthwhile because even beyond that, I respect him very much as a creator. I think he's incredibly relatable. He is fully always admitting, I don't think my art is good. I understand that other people don't like it either, but this is the best I can do, and I want to make this my own. And I think that is yet again sort of like this reason where I'm like, I want to see his heart as a creator. This everything that he makes is so intensely from his own heart that I can't help but I guess want to see that, even though it's, you know, not necessarily the most appealing to the average person. He's actually a good artist. He just hates drawing hands, but we all do.
Don't we all?
And kind of like going from that, this came out in 2002, the very first one. It was based on a play that he had written because he was really into theater. And I think that you can probably see some of like his theater influence in terms of like the Act 1, Act 2 structure and other qualities within that. Other kind of elements that make it the kind of otaku background of this interesting is it becomes really clear if you understand how rare it was to not have sex scenes when you see that, like, instead to try to fill in for that, to try to make up for that, he includes like the sexual humor. But then when I go back and I look on his blog, like the very few fans that he had by the third arc that came out, which was like, you know, he maybe sold like 100 of it, you know, they would be like, hey, you should make the cover for this one more ecchi. You should add more ecchi jokes. And he like commented about it in his development blog, like, yeah, I don't know, I can't really draw that, but they keep asking for it. And you can tell that there's like an exhaustion in the post alone because like that's the fan base he has, and that's the only way that he can keep going.
For those not in the know, I believe ecchi is like H as in like hentai,
Yes.
or at least related sexual content, kind of
Yes,
that sort of thing.
Yeah, cheesecake, you know, a very soft core porn.
Yes, like it doesn't have to be anything explicit, but you know, that's kind of, you can start to see, okay, this literally was his audience. And there's kind of like this quality where even in later works, he's like, there are actually changes from the very, very first releases to the releases that we have now that aren't even the console releases, where like they actually have toned down some of the jokes. The very early ones I've seen some transcripts of, pretty fucking bad. And so even with as bad as it is here, like he did go back and try to reduce some of those ideas.
Ketchup Crab says, quote, my interview is actually for a porn game, which I've never done
that's
before, but
okay.
one needs to eat. Yeah, no shame. Yeah, get that money, get that paper.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
this is slightly tangential, but Gail, you can finish first.
No, please go ahead.
So Higurashi, just because of the era it came out, and you know the anime coming out, has a reputation to it that, like, to describe this, a friend of mine thought it was just, you know, teenage girls killing each other, which is not what this game's about.
Maybe what the anime is about.
Okay, man, not even. Well, I would argue not even that.
But no,
But Dean
you're
wants you
right,
to think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, And I like Jan said before, and Gail have said, the violence in Higurashi, at least the visual novel, is very, it's not heavy descriptions in the slightest. And I do think one of the things that people should know is that early reputation it has is not what it actually is.
He
Right.
knows when less is more.
Yes.
That's not to
Like,
say there aren't
yeah.
like descriptive scenes, and there are definitely trigger warnings that are necessary for a lot of it. But as someone coming into it knowing the reputation of the anime, I was pleasantly surprised that it didn't go further in a lot of ways. Like there's actually a lot of restraint in the VN, not the anime. The anime. Look, we'll talk about that piss later.
I just wanted to make a little note here. Kenchakram says, like, I feel like after begrudgingly playing all Danganronpa games, I'm going to be very happy Higurashi. If you survived the anime otaku bullshit in Danganronpa, you'll survive in Higurashi. Higurashi is honestly not as bad at anime bullshit as Danganronpa.
Yeah, anime bullshit and Danganronpa.
At least I think so.
It's like, think of Danganronpa as like an 8, Higurashi's like a 4 or a 5.
Yeah,
In terms of horny bullshit, I'd say Danganronpa is like an 8 and Higurashi might be like a 5, but...
I mean, you can split the difference there. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'd probably also add to that Higurashi is also better than Danganronpa with that, because
in every way.
Danganronpa doesn't respect a lot of its characters at a certain point,
Correct.
where it's
yeah.
like some of them will be really well developed, and then others might not be. In Higurashi, basically every single character gets so much consideration and depth, and like Ryukishi will go and talk about, like these are based on my real life experiences because I worked for a decade as a welfare officer.
And it
Like
shows.
from the point that he was, I believe, 20 to 30. And he's actually very he feels bad sometimes because he's like, I started really late in doujin circles. I started really late as a writer. So I have to use what I know. And he does. He really does.
Yeah.
I think also when talking about some of the context with Higurashi, nowadays a lot of people will talk about it in the same kind of context as other popular Japanese visual novels, which would be something like, Tsukihime or Fate Stay Night coming from Type Moon and Nasu, or things like Clannad, or I've seen people bring up Steins Gate and other things. And Higurashi is so not like those things outside of sort of like the broad strokes. People sometimes will talk about Tsukihime being a big influence on Higurashi, for instance, if people are familiar with that. And while it is an influence, it was more an influence on the coder for the games, who is Ryukishi's brother, who goes by Yatazakura, I believe, usually as his pen name. And he even said the entire reason that he learned how to use Nscripter, which is what Higurashi was originally programmed in, was because of Tsukihime. But at the same time, when Ryukishi is asked about his influences, he mentions older sound novels, or he mentions just straight up mystery novels. He always mentions the tone I wanted to capture with Higurashi was the feeling I get from The Village of Seven Graves, which is a Japanese mystery novel that's pretty famous as a part of, a detective mystery series. Or he talks about Otogirasu. I have it here. I'm so bad because I always mess up the name. He mentions Otogiriso and Kamaitachi no Yoru, which Kamaitachi does have an English release, but those were some of the earliest games that were sold as sound novels. And so even though most other creators at Comic Cat would sell their visual novels under the term visual novel, he has always sold it as a sound novel because of those. He says, when I think about visual novels, I don't think of dating sims. I don't think of where you're going down girls' routes. I think of horror and I think of mystery. And those are the core ideas. And every single time he gets asked, That is all he mentions. He does like mention, oh, I think I really look up to these other VN writers. They're so far above me. But he doesn't have like, he never acts with confidence. It's really upsetting actually, because he's really cool. And like even further for some interesting context, I think the first Comiket that Ryukishi sold Higurashi at had 35,000 circles, which are the Doujin circles, the people who are working as like, indie and fan creators, over 35,000 of those, and over 400,000 attendees. And he only sold at max 20 copies.
To
It's
be
gotta
one
feel
of the
bad.
original folks to buy Higurashi. Wow.
Yeah.
Could have stopped it all.
Yeah.
Altered that
Oh yeah,
timeline.
Kensho Kram, like Tatsuki Fujimoto, the author of Chainsaw Man. Yeah, like it's like, to say the least, like I think it's very common like for Japanese creators to be too humble. But in Ryukishi's case, it's kind of terrifying because his development blog from basically 2006 and earlier has a lot of suicide ideation. And when I think about Higurashi and I think about, wow, this has such a compassionate approach to mental illness and like those kinds of forms of pain, how is he able to invoke this so well? And then I found a post where he's literally talking about how he should just die rather than continue writing Higurashi after the release of Arc 6 because people were so negative and he was just fantasizing about that. And there's even earlier posts where he's like joking about his own death and other things like that. And it's like nowadays he doesn't post anything like that. He's completely stopped updating the development blog. And after his friend BT's death in 2010, I believe, he almost entirely stopped posting anything personal on that account. And nowadays he like frames everything much more positively. He was honestly kind of bitter about the anime early on, but nowadays he's much more positive about it. How much of that is like genuine and how much of that is just kind of fitting to the role and not being too negative, I don't know. But when I look at all of those very like genuine and personal like posts, and it's still up, he didn't take it down. Like that's on the website. You can easily go and find all of his posts. But it gives a lot of context for me, and it makes me want people to care about this work because we understand that pain, and it makes me want to express to people how important and like he just wants people to care. And it kind of makes me cry sometimes when I think about that because I just see someone who's very, very hurt and sad, and someone who worked with communities for 10 years, someone he talks about in one of his posts, like he had to be in so many different like associations. He was like in a women's rights association. He was in an association for the elderly. It was like expected of him to be a part of all these things and then go out drinking every night and then coming home drunk and trying to write this story, even though it was basically killing him. And it was only because his friend BT was begging him to quit that job and just work on Higurashi that I feel like he's alive and able to work on this today. So I guess I just, whenever I look at this, for all of us as like indie creators, 07th expansion is not published by anything. They're not supported by outside resources. They have genuinely built something very, very special out of a terrible situation and out of a very genuine concern for not just the people of Japan, but people all around the world. So that's why I think people should read Higurashi. I would cry. Thanks.
And that's all stuff to keep in mind and consider when going into it, just because of how much things have changed over the past 20 something years and different cultures to begin with.
Yes.
So that's an important consideration to have as a foundational thing when you go into it.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. There's a ton of stuff in the story that you will probably not really have a very good handle on unless you've done research or have some like background knowledge. But this story is worth it. The story is worth it to do further research. It's worth it to as a way to expand your own horizons. It mentions so many things that maybe you'll be like, I don't know what that is. And then you'll look and then like you'll look it up and it's like, oh hey, he mentioned like Barakamin discrimination. What's that? Oh, it's this thing of like a caste system where people in villages who were considered dirty and handling like butchery of like animals and meat or handling like undertaker duties were literally being treated as lesser, and they could not get out of these villages because of that. And even after the end of the caste system, it still continues today. And Higurashi, that village, is very much rooted in those ideas, and he actively compares it to like the continuing very subtle Barakamin discrimination. Like he's like, this is happening right now. Even if you don't think it is happening right now, and I want you to know about it. So it's like, if you see something you don't understand when you're reading this, just fucking look it up and you will start learning really fascinating things. I promise.
Or you can
He handles
become
really
friends
tough
with Gail, and then Gail will do it for you.
He handles really tough topics with a lot of compassion, which I think is very important for this sort of thing.
Absolutely.
And yes, Gail has provided some very instrumental and very important context in all of these issues that I've read it before.
Yeah.
And I didn't know about this stuff. Like, I think there are issues in here that would be much more apparent to a native Japanese reader, someone from Japan, raised in that culture, that us, outside of Japan wouldn't know unless we actively dig into it. So that has also provided, there's going to be things in here that you might get it, but you won't understand the full brunt of what he's trying to get at without that cultural knowledge.
Yeah.
And I'm sure to some degree, even people within Japan are uninformed on these things, which is why for some things, he tries very hard to make people understand about there are these issues that are happening right now and have been happening that have been swept under the rug. And I want you to understand. He's coming at this from a very compassionate angle.
And again, like that's another thing that I think like this is sold to an otaku audience coming out of the 90s, which was a severe economic depression. And it, of course, like the recession is still continuing today in Japan, just like it is in America. And he was trying very hard, you can see over time, he is trying to reach out to like these Japanese like young men especially who are going to Comiket typically and trying to say, hey, I'll draw you in with this kind of anime bullshit and then I'm gonna try to force you to fucking care about this. I'm going to force you to see this. I'm going to force you to consider literally like community organizing. I'm going to force you to consider how important it is to vote, but also the fact that that isn't good enough on its own. I'm going to force you to consider how broken our modern welfare systems are.
Yeah.
It's very, very cool, and it makes you really feel like a huge impetus of him writing the story and including otaku pandering is because that's the only way he can get them to care about it. And it sucks, but I think he succeeds, hopefully, even though he got a lot of hate and the entire time he was writing and multiple times talks about dying. So it obviously really hurt him.
Yeah.
One other thing that I think is really, really funny. Yes, Ursula Cat, but to prefer otaku. Thank you. When Ryukishi was originally, very early on, people were reading Onikakushi and they would send in emails to him. And out of 100 emails that he got, one person figured out the key to the mystery in that very first chapter.
I do still wonder to this day what exactly they sent him, what he defined as enough to consider finding the key, but that would be spoiler to speculate on too much further. I wonder what he regarded as.
I would love to know too,
I wonder.
but
I
let's
wanna
save
know.
that for
Yeah,
when we get into
I'm
spoilers.
I'm just pondering.
I think I have a good idea, but we'll talk about it
Yeah,
when we
same.
get there.
But because of that one person out of 100, Ryukishi started using the tagline, "A mystery only 1% of people can solve. Can you be a part of that 1%?" And that actually ended up being a really notable part of the draw that people ended up having, which is really cute. So even when people weren't engaging or even when people were negative, they were still trying to find ways to get people interested. But that's probably all I'll say for now. I want to hear what everyone else has to say about sort of like, all of this stuff, like what it means to them, their background, and what they think, why they think people should read it. Please tell me more, everyone, please.
I mean, I can pick up a little bit on the sense that I was, as a new reader, just picking it up at about the same time as Bob was. I was reading through it, and I have been following anime since about the 2000s, so I had some cultural context for Japan, but a lot of the stuff Gail was talking about would have gone pretty well over my head if we didn't have the book club and if we didn't have the discussions drilling into those deeper issues with the footnotes and other research to clarify those things.
Yeah, and working off of a different point Gail mentioned, the thing that got me to read Higurashi 2 years ago during the height of the when the pandemic first started was someone told me the basic premise to the sequel, which is Human Echo, and how it was an Agatha Christie plot where 18 people are just stuck on an island. And I was like, damn, that's really interesting. I love murder mysteries. Let me try out Higurashi beforehand just to get a sense of the writer. And boy, was I not prepared for just how thoughtful and empathetic it was. Like, what a great way of just burying the lead about what type of what Higurashi is.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I'm and don't get me wrong, I'm interested in Numineko, but like Higurashi was so good on its own that yeah. I almost feel, I don't know if you feel the same way, Kat, but I almost feel like kind of dumb for coming into it for because I just wanted to get a sense of the writer and not coming into it because it's just its own, it's a great story in its own right. It doesn't need Silent Hill F. It doesn't need Umineko. It just is Higurashi, and Higurashi is amazing and really, really, really good. So yeah.
I do understand that point, but at the same time, I do think having a hook to start something is important.
Yeah.
Those first 100 people in Comic Head, I can understand them just trying it out, but they had to go through several other people selling their visual novel, and going through so many and just saying, I want to give this one a shot. Those people are kudos to them, but I do think word of mouth is important, and I think the way I found Higurashi is honestly one of the ways I think Ryukishi would have wanted me to give it a shot.
Yeah, I was being a little bit facetious, but at the same time, no, I totally get it. No matter how you get here, it's valid. Because he's working on Silent Hill F, and then that led you to play Higurashi or Umineko or whatever. It's totally valid as long as you're here, Even if you're an otaku and you're here because you thought you were gonna jerk off. No, it's well, maybe that one not so much. But
it's your willingness to engage with the story.
Yes, exactly.
I mean,
yes, numbers.
Kensho. I was just gonna say something like, so we were kind of going through and given reviews of things, I guess broad sweeping reviews. I recommend Higurashi to people who like to read things. If you have eyeballs in your head and when they cross over words you experience serotonin, you should try Higurashi. It will do that to you.
If you
Bonus-
like thinking, you like Higurashi. If you like breeding, you like Higurashi.
Breeding?
I
Breeding, yes. No, breeding. Like air in,
breed
air out.
thing.
Like Pokemon,
yes,
like
that's
breeding,
a
but yeah.
TH. I was going to
Now,
comment.
if you like fucking, you would also love Higurashi.
No.
If you like fucking, Higurashi is not for you.
No.
There's none of that.
None of it.
I just wanted to say something like, I think the way that I initially found out about Higurashi is really dumb. So, the way that a lot of people got onboarded recently, especially certain people in this call going, oh dang, who's Ryukishio 7? Everybody in my Twitch chat seems really hyped about this Ryukishio 7 guy. I should give that a try. I was one of those people. Hi.
Yeah, I think me, you, and Jan were all on
Yes.
that call.
I was screaming.
Yeah,
That
I was salivating at the mouth like Pavlov's dog. My partner was in the room
Yep.
and he's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, I couldn't close my mouth. I was so shocked to see his name.
I
Genuinely,
remember, I
Ryukishi
remember
is
the.
best writer for a Silent Hill game that I could possibly think of.
I
I'm very
literally can't
excited
think of
for
a
it.
better.
I'm very excited for it.
Yeah,
I
okay.
remember seeing the written by Ryukishio 7 pop up, and my first words were just straight up all caps. Written by who?
I was also in that stream, and the thing that always makes me laugh is when Bob just goes, "Oh, okay, this Ryukishio 7 character. Oh, okay, damn, the guy from Pikmin 3."
That was hilarious. Yeah.
And I wanted to be like, I get it, but I also want to strangle you.
But yes, of
I
all
did that more as a
things,
joke, but yeah.
like with all things, the path that got me to read Higurashi and Umineko and all that ends up going back to a very awful place. Something awful. Indirectly. It's a long, circuitous path that wound up there. It was like... Oh god, I don't know how much I want to go into. They were like, dang, you should try this game called Space Station 13. It's like, no, this sucks ass. This is the ugliest game I've ever seen in my life. And then so I looked at other games on the same site and was like, dang, I like this one with the school where you do murders. I'm not citing name in case it causes like psychic damage to anyone who hears it, which is a possibility.
It's Danganronpa.
No, it's not. Fortunately, it's not Danganronpa.
Yeah, you
if
got
know,
into
you
this
know.
before Danganronpa came out for sure.
Before
I
it
know this.
existed, because I was like 10.
Yeah, I thought you were
And-
talking about that one. What was it called? Yandere Simulator.
No, I'm talking about Midodake High was the one. It is a bad, ancient fucking roleplay game that shares an engine with Space Station 13, which Something Awful liked, and I hated. And I was there, so I looked at some of the things tangential to it and was like, dang, this sure uses a lot of Higurashi references, and people keep talking about Higurashi when they're playing this, and I was like, boy, I should try that thing out. And then here I am, 12 years later, irrevocably changed. I've read millions of words of visual novels, and also I'm a woman, so Ryukishi did a lot of things to me.
Hell yeah. Also, yes, I apologize for bringing up the simulator that shall not be named.
Nice.
Because I thought that was the one that Numbers was talking about.
Nope,
And then I end up being the one that
Predates it.
caused psychic damage.
Predates it, I promise.
You know, if we're talking about impact, I started my visual novel before I ever read any of Ryukishi's works, but I promise you it would not be nearly as good if I did not read his work and say, oh, this is how you can do it. This is how you can write in general. This is how you can use these ideas and tools in such a way that is so effective. And like actually do something with that. It made me really reassess my entire approach and change just how I went about it, and really kept me going. Like, I've read plenty. Not plenty. Like I've read a good number of other visual novels of other types, of other methods. Various levels of interactivity. I started with Ace Attorney when I was,
Hell yeah.
younger than 10 years old.
Attorney's
I've
really good.
read Danganronpa. I was reading it back when it was on the fucking forums with the paywalls.
So
Unfortunately.
was I.
Well, I mean, I had a fucking account because I joined to watch SGF's like Deadly Premonition LP. And I also watched Bob's LP back then too. Back when it still worked, remember?
I've gone through other related, varying types of visual novels, but Ryukishi's works have had the strongest impact on me in that terms of actually how to make a visual novel and what it means. I would not be making it the way that I am now. I might not have even stuck with it if not for Ryukishi's works. I would not have the best friends that I have now. I would not have my roommate with me in my fucking house if not for Ryukishi's works. I am a better person because of Ryukishi's works. Yeah, or the bunny, just by cause and effect.
Mm-hmm.
I have been a better writer and a better artist because of that. It's helped me to get to a much better place than I was 10 years ago. And it continues to do that. Even when I just started this, with this book club here, I said, oh my god, Bob's reading Higurashi. I have to get in on this. And then he's having discussions. Well, I'm already insane about this. I can't just not be in the discussion. And then I joined. And now I have some even more very good friends. And I feel even better about my own development stuff. You guys have helped me become a better developer and feel more confident about my work. It is still, to this day, having positive effects on me in multiple areas of my life. It's really good.
And that's
it's
really
about community.
Yeah. And that's one of the amazing things about the way that Ryukishi writes. It inspires that. It inspires this togetherness, this like wanting this sort of gravitational pull of each other in like trying to, reach out to somebody and just include them in your life. And it's kind of incredible, amazing. It's one of those things that you won't realize until you actually like do it. Like that really the book club is like the optimal way of doing this because it's really that's what this is about. It's about.
And I feel like we all really want to cultivate a really good community for you because there's been very worse iterations of this in the past. Fandom has sucked in the past. We've all been there. We want it to be as good as possible for you and any other potential new readers.
Well, I don't know about the new folk, but I had a fucking fantastic time.
We've turned him into an evangelist for Higurashi. It took me a couple tries.
Shit.
That's me with that's me with Jan's VN.
Exactly.
Oh, really? Jan has a VN. I should try that. I say immediately before running straight into a brick wall.
There's content warnings for mine.
Yep.
It's not easy. Just like Higurashi gets intense sometimes, just so you're aware. But I also try to handle it compassionately. It's important to do that shit with tact.
See, that's one of the things that is also praiseworthy about Higurashi is like it has so many like really genuinely affecting moments and so many really difficult topics are broached and done in such a caring and beautiful way, and none of it feels like, I don't know, like the way that Luca Dalco would do it. It doesn't feel like that. That's one of the things that I try to communicate about some of that dude's games, like the Town of Light. You play it and you can just immediately feel that this person doesn't give a shit, that this team is just they're not here for the right reasons. And it feels like in Higurashi, I could immediately tell that like none of this is like trying to take advantage of the situation for like, or like mine the depths of human misery for money, for monetary gain.
Dora video games.
It's all about like just, trying to understand people. Like that, it's so insane that that's a novel idea these days, that's like something that we don't do on the regular, and it's something that horror desperately needs, because there's just so much especially in psychological horror, about just people just talking about these topics because they think that that's what psychological horror is. Like, that's what it does, right? It scares you by the depravity of what human beings can do to each other. But that's one of the amazing things that Higurashi does, is it shows not just that aspect, but the flip side of how we can come together and help each other when, and rise above that kind of thing. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's beautiful horror. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. It's amazing. And yeah, I wish more horror understood that aspect of it.
I think it's pretty neat.
I just think it's neat. Me holding up Higurashi. But yeah. So did anyone else who hasn't talked want to say anything non-spoilery about Higurashi before we delve deep into spoilers?
Should we go over like what the content warnings are? Like, not spoiler-ish, but like, so someone new to it who doesn't know can have at least an idea of what to prepare themselves for, because some of it is kind of difficult to parse depending on your sensitivity.
Yeah, if you think that's I think that's useful. Yeah, we could do that.
Talisriel and Gale both had some notes on this. Did you guys want to get into that?
Sure,
and before we go into this, are we in the spoiler territory?
No. This
say
is
not
yet.
content warnings.
All right.
I just want to really quick, if Olo, have you said anything?
No, because I was late. I was doing I was doing boring civic service stuff.
Sorry to
Hey-
cut you off.
No, it's okay. Hey folks, see if you can find out when your like city's budget meetings are, because like 5 people show up to those. Those are important. Anyway,
Noted.
for Higurashi, just to try and be quick and non-spoilery, I got into it because a friend of mine, like one of the only friends who I knew back in high school, who I'm still like in contact with, has been just praising the series for years. And for a while I was like, whatever, because they also showed me Elfen Lied, but that's a different can of worms. Back in the days, that's what you had. But
There are better works in existence.
yes, they do not talk about Elfen Lied as much as like anymore. that was like, it was like, oh yeah, for the time, this is what we watched. But,
Do they talk about Higurashi still?
Yes, they do. They talk about Umineko even more. But
Well, there
but
we
yeah,
go.
like they've been
We'll
like
get there.
bugging me to read it for years and years, and eventually I was like, you know what, I'll finally read it. And when I did, it was just like it was so good, and it was also just like, oh my god, I'm reconnecting with this friend who I haven't really had too many conversations with since high school. It was just really, yeah. If you were someone who, for some reason, got into Elfen Lied, read Higurashi, because it's actually good.
They don't have much in common.
No,
For
not at
instance,
all.
Because Higurashi is good.
Yes. But if you're poisoned, this might help.
I mean, I guess there are blood and poems in both of them.
There are girls in both, so if you like
That's
girls,
true.
Do
They
they
like
They
like
will
girls.
both
girls?
irrevocably. They will both irrevocably change your brain chemistry if you're a teenage girl.
True.
Is it one of those that will make you transgender if you think too hard about it?
Yeah,
Because like Higurashi and Umineko are definitely that for me.
they did that to me too.
I don't know if like it would do that. It might make you a lesbian. I don't know about transgender though.
Yeah, that's fair.
Oh, I love it. Olo, did you have anything? Oh, by the way, yeah, and, Olo is here. I introduced everybody else. So, Olo, thank you for joining and thank you for your service. That's amazing. Did anyone else have anything else to talk about before we go into spoilers, or before we go into spoilers to talk about the trigger warnings?
I guess
Cal,
really,
go ahead.
Yep, I
Go
think.
ahead. That's what I'm saying.
So I guess I have, I think, a fairly brief list since we are in the non-spoiler zone. So we're trying to walk the tightrope of listing some of the bigger content warning things besides anime nonsense without really spoiling things. So we kind of have to tread carefully. So for what I've got murder, which I don't believe is a surprise for very much. Child abuse is a big one to consider. That comes up. And honestly, I think Gail can take over with their section for the next bit.
Okay, so I kind of mentioned like it has very nuanced but very sometimes difficult depictions of mental illness. It has a lot of topics centered around nationalism that may be difficult for some people, especially considering our current climate. It does deal with elements of sort of like ethnic and monetary like discrimination. It does have some body horror, and some of that does include insects. And like child abuse very much so, but like emotional and physical abuse in a variety of contexts, and not just like murder, but also I would say like death and pretty intense depictions of grief. And that would probably be the main things I would mention. There is depictions of self-harm as well, if you are sensitive to that, so just be considered. No dead pets. No.
I can't think of a single dead pet.
There aren't
Yeah,
really
no.
many pets.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
one really has a pet.
Takano, one of the characters was supposed to have a cat.
Oh,
Unfortunately, they don't in canon, but Ryukishi's a
makes
cat
sense.
lover.
I think, does anyone have a
I mean,
pet?
Rika does have Satoko.
That does not count.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
That's
I
the
was
actual
about to say,
line.
like, I think that there's like, I think Arc 1 is like a mention of a dog or something.
Yeah.
There's like a line that references a dog just like existing.
Yeah. Something like that. Like Stray or
oh.
something. I don't know.
Oh shit. One other thing. There is no explicit sexual abuse in this. However, there are allusions to it in very subtle ways. The story is not really about that at all, but I do think it is helpful to kind of be aware of that because it, sometimes can be difficult topics.
Yeah. Seems like an inappropriate time for the song to be playing, but whatever. There is a certain tip in one of the chapters that I'm thinking about that has a little bit more than you might want in that regard. But for the most part, tips are kind of skippable. This one in particular, but yeah, anyway. We won't delve too specifically into that. But that said, that's it for the spoiler free talk. I think we're going to go into spoiler territory unless anyone else has anything to say. Nothing? Okay. All right. So if you're here for the spoiler free chat, we're throwing up the spoilers. Thank you very much for the people who are here for the non-spoiler stuff. Thank you very much, Kensha Cram, for joining. And yeah, take it easy. Have fun reading Higurashi. 7th mod. Absolutely use 7th mod. Highly recommend it. Also, it works on Steam Deck. So if you want to play it around the house, go for it. But yeah.
You can also play it on a Game Boy Advance if you speak Japanese.
Yeah, you can. All right, and with that, let's go ahead and everyone's out. All last chance for the spoiler. We're getting into spoilers. I'm changing the pick back here to a spoilery one. Last chance. Get the fuck out of here. I don't want to see you reading Higurashi, okay? You go read that fucking amazing VN right fucking now.
Or else I'll shoot you.
Fucking piss.
Jeez.
I will piss if you don't read Higurashi. All right, y'all, here we go.
Yo!
Spoiler talk with our crew in the bag. What's up, everybody? Hanya's here.
All my
Everybody's
homies.
ready. All my homies hate Hanya.
Hate Hanyu.
Fuck
Woo!
you, Hanya. Get
Since
out
we're
of
here
here.
now, I should say this week's icon is from Bus Stop, the one where Rika's even gayer.
Bust off. So yeah, okay. So the we're doing spoilers now. So anyone who's joining, we're spoilering and everything. Now we're gonna talk about everything. So I don't know exactly how we want to do this. I was thinking maybe we could get into the spoilers specifically, like things that we liked about Higurashi, like maybe our favorite arcs, favorite characters, stuff like that. If that sounds good to everybody, and also I know that we have this discussion doc, and I definitely want to get in here.
I think we primarily use that to structure the
Yeah.
non-spoiler part.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna-
we're in uncharted territory now.
Honestly,
Yeah.
we
So
have
let me
enough.
just start by saying Takano. Takano best everything. Body's
Takano.
everything. Solo's everything.
Takano. I love Takano. Takano's so great. Oh man. Oh, she's
Wife.
I love her. She's amazing.
Truly like the character I related to the most when I was a child reading Higurashi.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like when I read Matsuri Bayashi, that is the moment I realized I had PTSD. Just like straight up, it was like the first time I saw an experience that matched my own, and even now that I'm an adult, seeing her experience as an adult with that trauma is just as relatable as it's always been. It's still shockingly powerful writing.
The fact that he wrote Matsuri Bayashi with the understanding that they shouldn't win at the expense of her because of what she's gone through. That people like her still deserve to be understood and still deserve to be treated with compassion, or at least at the very basic level, understanding what happened there. I think that's really important. The fact that he's like, no, she's like this for a reason. She's not just an evil person.
Right.
People are changed by their experiences. And sometimes that's very bad. Sometimes they're really hurting. Doesn't excuse what they've done. But you should understand that people are not inherently evil. And that sometimes it's your circumstances that push you into worse things. It really matters to me that he wrote her with that understanding and with that compassion.
Abolish the
She
death
is
penalty.
really good.
Get rid of the death penalty. Do it. Ryukishi says get rid of the death penalty.
I mean,
I
yeah,
agree.
that's a whole other topic, but yeah.
Listen, I literally found a fucking post on his dev blog where he's like, he was like searching for kind of like dark topics and whatnot to use as inspiration for Higurashi, and he found the case of Junko Furuta. Do not
Oh, no.
look it up. You
That's
know
sad.
what it is.
Hmm.
Girl encased in concrete case.
Oh.
Very
Yeah, the details of that case are very horrific. So.
A lot of
So-
awful sexual assault.
So basically we'll just say she was tortured to death, and he found that, and he was like, I don't believe in like the death penalty or something, but they're only gonna get like 20 years for that. Like he is just kind of like, what the fuck? But he
Yeah.
said something I found really interesting alongside that, which is I'm sorry. Essentially he stated, I wonder if when women he said, I'm sorry, I'm really struggling to say this. Essentially he said, you know, someone might watch like, you know, rape fetish videos, but that doesn't mean they're going to go out and rape someone. However, to like a woman or a rape victim, that's not something different. So when I'm making my work, am I any better than people who would be doing that?
Huh.
And I found it like kind of sad to kind of like see him reflecting on that, as he was talking about that, and he was basically talking about, like, I don't make my work for people who aren't able to distinguish my intent here. I don't make my work for that kind of person. And he is constantly reflecting on himself, and I think that was really fascinating to see. But yeah, sorry. Please go ahead.
No, I was damn. I got dark quick. But no, it's definitely like, it's one of the reasons why I love Rikishi. Is like, you can definitely tell every time he talks about a specific topic, like you're going on that journey with him for a reason. Like, he has a specific feeling about a specific reason for doing it. Something that he's definitely found deep inside of himself that he is, broaching with you for a reason that he has decided. It's something that is just, I said it before, I'll say it again. It's rare. It's rare, and I fucking love him for it. Like, that is so. Like, this is how all these topics should be talked about. Like, if you really can't answer the question of why you're including these topics in your media, or if the answer is incredibly base or like purely monetary, like, get the fuck out, like.
I feel like he even interrogates his own like best ideas in terms of what is the worst possible bad faith application of this. Like, with his belief, just based on his work and the way he, talks about things, it really does feel like he believes that nobody's inherently evil and that people are made into certain people, or that you are made into a certain type of person because of your environmental factors and experiences. I think he even tries to examine that at its like most harmful with EDA's approach to lobotomies, of like treating everybody as patients, and then, okay, well, where's the line there?
Right.
How can that understanding of nobody should be a criminal, just a patient, how can that be handled irresponsibly? How can you even like that it feels like he even understands that even that, which on the face of it seems like a very, very good, philosophy, you still have to even examine that to understand, is there harm in this approach? How could that be harmful to someone who is already marginalized, already at risk of violence, or has no recourse if something bad happens to them? How would this affect them if handled irresponsibly? I feel like even that shows that like he's constantly, from the way I've seen his work, change over the years, it feels like he is constantly thinking about how to be a better person and how to treat people better. That's the way it reads to me, and I feel like that's really important.
I often interpret a lot of different stuff in Higurashi. I was most explicit about this in the book club on Saikuroshi, as Ryukishi kind of debating himself about concepts he grapples with. And I like that a lot. I like sitting down with the 7 clones of this one guy and chatting with all of his different facets about different approaches to the same problem, I guess.
I like Keiichi in particular just because he is a great reflection on what Ryukishi thinks of like the average comiket person. That they're not
well versed in Russian porn.
Yeah, they're not like malicious in any good way, and they have like opportunity to change. And he really thinks, no, everyone is able to change.
And they say stupid shit sometimes. And they're bad at girls, and
but their heart's in the right place.
Their heart's in the right place.
He wants to use that bridge. I've said this before, but it feels like with Keiichi, who is meant to be very like synchronous with the supposed common player, he wants to meld them into their best self of like, look, you have a lot of things in common with him. Here's a thing that Keiichi feels like he always wants to be able to, do these good things, care about people, protect them, make their lives better, not be, some kind of apathetic fucking jerk and make their life worse. At his best, he is constantly uplifting people at his own, detriment, because it's the right thing to do and he cares about them and he wants the reader to see that and go, yeah, I can do that too, or I should do that too. I feel like,
Yeah, Keiichi's biggest flaw is that he just is unable to like think hard on like what his actions are, and once he starts doing that, he realizes just the full extent of what he is
Yeah.
and how he should treat his like friends.
It's
Yeah.
him literally becoming like not a misogynist. Like
Yeah.
just, hey, women are people too. Like you shouldn't be looking at these girls around you as potentials for like root options. They are people. It's very good.
I remember I said in like Arc 2 or Arc 3 discussion that sometimes it feels like Keiichi has dating game brain, and that's what I meant.
Yeah.
That's what I meant by that, is that sometimes, especially early on, he doesn't seem to really consider people around him entirely as full people.
Yeah.
Mhm.
At least, especially in the first one, and then it
Yeah.
kind of builds.
He gets
off that.
better. He gets much better.
Yeah, and it feels like his core asset. I think, just coming off the top of my head with this, it feels like his core, character trait is passion. I think,
Mm.
and how that can be used positively or negatively. He gets passionate and he jumps into things, and sometimes has a negative impact because he didn't think about it enough and how that would hurt others to act a certain way. He didn't consider that, being forceful in this situation would make someone who's already feeling bad feel worse. He didn't consider how, swinging around a bat would freak everyone the fuck out.
Yeah.
Or at his best, his passion is staying, steadfast by saying, no, we can't let this person abuse this child. I can't let this village abuse this child. I have to stand by her no matter what. So it's showing like, it feels like he says, yes, you, comic het person, otaku, you're passionate about your stuff. That's your whole thing. You're really fucking into stuff. I get that. That's not a bad thing. You need to learn how to use that passion responsibly.
Right.
That's where I think he's trying to, help meld them into their best self of saying, passion's not bad. Learn how to use it.
Yeah. You could just apply passion like improperly. Yeah, totally. Like even his passion, and that's why Arc 3 is probably my favorite arc, or definitely one of my one of the ones that's the most affecting for me is even Keiichi's like sort of passion for trying to save Satoko actually, or like trying to help Satoko actually does her harm, and it's incredibly like it's an important lesson.
After having myself, after having gone through and re-examined all of them with context analysis from book club and stuff, I think my favorite's Arc 7 now, which is a pretty very good kind of sibling to that.
Solid fucking solid
I
arc.
think almost any of them are a perfect, perfectly valid choice for best or favorite.
Right.
I could understand any favorite, but you'd have to give me a little bit more explaining if it's Arc 4.
I'm
still with you on that. You just have to talk to me a little bit about it.
Help me help you.
It's because it introduced Weed Zonk Time Cop and it set up the thing for the burn barrel.
Exactly.
Very good.
I will say on my reread, initially I really loved Arc 7. Like, I thought that was my favorite arc. And now after a reread, I think Arc 6 and Arc 7 are just constantly in battle in my head.
Makes sense, yeah.
Rena, man, she's the best. Like,
Rena,
anytime I see something about her,
Rena
I'm like,
is
I could
number
do
fucking
something.
one, dude.
There's part of me that wants to be her in certain ways.
Good. That's a good want.
I used to say that like Arc 2 is my favorite, specifically with the sense of like going back to it after Arc 5 and seeing these as like a wonderful little paired up mystery and perspectives and like kind of relatively self-contained and whatever. And I still do like both of those a lot when you kind of view them as one super long arc or something. But man, I like Higurashi. It's hard to pick a favorite Higurashi because there's a lot of good Higurashis.
There's a lot of different ways to like them. Like I like 1 and 3 for their in terms of being like the early ones before you really know what's going on and how they apply certain aspects of horror and intensity.
I also love Arc 1.
Arc 1. I was just gonna say Arc 1
I love
is
Arc 1. I love Arc 2.
As a horror fan,
3.
Arc 1 is like fucking pitch fucking perfect. Like
it works perfect with not knowing what's happening.
Exactly.
I love Arc 1. I love Arc 2. I love Arc 3. I like Arc 4.
I hear you. I hear you. And
Yeah.
Arc 9 is like, I thought Arc
I
9 was going to be
also-
like, eh. And then I finished it and I was like, okay, yeah, all right. It's kind of fucking weird. And then Gale dropped the fucking bomb of like, oh, that's all fucking Hanyu. And now I'm like,
Hanyu.
oh shit. Like, that's actually really fucking good. And a perfect end.
I really love it with that read in particular.
Like,
It's the only read. I mean, okay, there are
Okay.
multiple, but it is the only read.
There's more like metafictional reads, I'd
Yeah.
say, in whatever.
Yeah.
And I like
But
those
also,
two.
Hanyu's the
I like
worst
those
mob.
two. But if you're trying to give like a sort of Watsonian explanation, the Hanyu read is kind of your only one. That makes any sense at
Absolutely.
all, and that one's great. That one's sick, and I think that's great. Hanyu is a war criminal.
war criminal
She's
boomer.
just like she is a war criminal boomer dog. She's inherited her
Hold on,
powers.
we should let her defend herself. Does she have anything to say about
I
this?
was just going to say, like, oh, hold on. I have to.
We should hear her side of the story.
Hanyu, are you hearing all of this? Oh, hold on.
Respond to the allegations.
I think we're having some issues with
The
getting in
truth come out.
contact with
Does
Hanyu.
Hanyu is evil?
Hanyu evil? Oh,
Does Hanyu
Hanyu.
is kind of bad?
Hanyu, you're breaking up. Hanyu, can you hear me? Okay, we've got Hanyu on the line. Hanyu, do you have anything to say to defend yourself? Okay, she rolled down a mountain again. I don't know what to do with this fucking girl.
Good riddance.
Hanyu, listen, I understand where Hanyu's coming from, but I feel like that's kind of a classic case of motivated reasoning. And I feel like if she took a step back and kind of appraised this from a more objective standpoint, she'd realize she did some deeply unethical things.
Hanyu, don't cut people off.
Hanyu, I'm sorry, but that is a slur. It's really inappropriate for you to say. You can't just say it's sadder. That doesn't make it okay. Hanyu. Jesus, she's really going off. We knew she was a boomer conservative, but goddamn.
She's from another time, from 1,000 years ago. It's still not good. Still not acceptable on you.
Jesus Christ.
Is she stomping her feet?
No.
Look, as much as we all hate Hanyu, look, she does have stompy her little feet, and that's pretty cute.
I think Hanyu is a fascinating character, and I like the design a lot.
It's
He
weird.
would also be a terrible person in real life.
Oh, I would not want to be around Hanyu. Like Hanyu,
Because-
oh my god.
Because I read this like a while ago. I only read the first 8 chapters. I didn't read Higurashi because 1, it wasn't out, and 2, I didn't really want to stray out of the 8.
Mm-hmm.
I had a much like better opinion of Hanyu until like a week ago. So
It's like, damn, this dog is kind of fucked up.
yeah,
You know that one image
Weed
with the dog
Zonked,
that's no longer fucked up?
Weed Zonked Time Dog is pretty fucked. And don't get me wrong, like
Hell-
Hanyu through the vast majority of the story is like, you know, as insert for the audience, I get it, I understand, like not terrible, but then you get hit by Arc 9 and it's like, oh shit.
Please
Fuck
let
I
us
just
this.
wanted to, I just wanted to ask, do
Thank
you
you.
think there's any like, because when you looked at his blog, you saw him talk a little bit about Toho. Was there anything like? Do you think there's any Toho influence on Hanyu there?
Yawn.
I don't think so. Like his favorite characters are like Marika, and I don't remember the other. The other one
Was
is
it Reimu?
purple. I don't remember. I wrote it down, but I didn't save it.
oh,
but,
Toho, like the series. Okay.
yeah. Like he talks a lot about how much he likes Toho, and he's like, God, he's so much fucking better at music than I can ever do anything. But like I could see it. I know that mostly he says that Hanyu's design was kind of like a nod to someone who kind of figured out that Oyashiro-sama was like an actual kind of character, and they drew her purple. So
Purple. I think they
Purple.
gave her 8 tails too. or
Yeah,
something.
one of his favorite Tohos from your work, from your notes, was Reimu.
Interesting. Alrighty. What's that?
So why she Urple?
Why is she purple?
Why is she
Purple.
Urple, though?
I think with one thing that's really fascinating about Hanyu to me, because like just because of my history, Hanyu was always like a weird sort of like a character that I didn't really know anything except like the most surface level stuff about. It was just like, oh, she has horns. Oh, she's a little girl? Question mark. But I do think it's interesting, like with Arc 9, how like up until then I basically considered like, oh, she's just a little girl, you know, whatever, because of her design. I think it's really interesting how her design is like purposefully so disarming that it was like a thing of like I would like literally just forget that it's like, oh no, she has a daughter. Like, oh, she's grown. She's a god. She's like genuinely has like opinions and thoughts that are bad, and it's like, oh man, this is how this shit happens. This is how these ideas spread. Because like if you package it well enough, like shit can just go under the radar.
And she does
Yeah.
war crimes.
War
Yeah.
crime Hanyu.
I gotta say, it was very entertaining to hear your thoughts about Oya Hashiro-sama all the time, knowing that it's fucking Hanyu, man.
I
It's just
remember
a
when
funny little dog.
we heard Hanyu's name for the first time. That was, oh boy. I also, one of my favorite moments was when Rika was revealed to be a fucking witch. I love that fucking moment. Oh man.
It's so casual.
It's just like, well, being a witch. And I'm like what? A fucking what?
Want to run that one by me again?
I am sorry. Could you repeat that? But yeah, I remember. Yeah, when she's dying in like, what was it? Arc
5.
5? Yeah.
5.
Yeah. Oh man, that was good shit. Yeah,
5.
there are a bunch of moments in Higurashi that stand out that I just, oh man, like Arc 3, Satoko, just, you know, when it's revealed what's happening to her, just like, again, that gut punch of just, oh my god, no, fuck. And, you know, the reveal of what's going on at the beginning of Arc 1 and especially the ending of Arc 1, setting up the entire mystery. The fucking Hoishi being a son of a bitch and then Rena calling his ass out on it. And what was that, Arc 2? Oh, man. And then, oh, God, there's so many moments. It's just like...
What? Can I throw in another one?
Sure.
One of my favorite fucking scenes in the whole thing is Kiichi and Takano in the car in Arc 3. And she's like just the most suspicious
fucking love
motherfucker
that.
in the world. It's like, oh, you better make sure you're buried it deep enough that mountain dogs won't dig it up and shit. Just, god damn it. She rocks.
She's doing
She
so
rocks,
much.
he rocks.
She's doing so
That
much.
scene is dripping with so much fucking tension and just murderous intrigue, and that is just, wow, that's perfect. I love it so much.
Mhm.
I'm still
Thank you.
surprised if someone.
Thank you, Bob, for giving us this.
I'm still surprised if someone like sees that and like the entire time I'm like, why does she have Tomitake in his truck? Why? What did she do? And then everyone's like, yeah, it can be Takano. I'm like, what?
Even the
Mm.
Takano can Nipa to suit her purposes.
I really love how you were like, it's fucking Takano, it's Takano. And then she went Nipa, and you're like, oh, it can't be her. I've had her all
No.
wrong this
No,
entire
no.
time.
We had a good laugh about that in the Secret Book Club.
There are so many instances of you saying some really good shit, and we're like, oh my god. That has been part of why this book club has been so great, and why it's going to continue to be great, because you are a really good reader, man. Either you're really, really on top of it, or you're really hilarious. And either way, it's great. Thank you.
I think
if you're
No
wrong,
problem.
you're wrong in a hilarious way.
I really wanted Akasaka to be the one doing everything. I don't know why.
Weed Song Time Cop?
Weedzong
Hey,
Time
if it's
Cop.
not, you can just like write that down and use that in something later if you
Yeah,
want.
absolutely.
It
Like
wasn't
something-
entirely wrong.
No, just, like 79% wrong.
Yeah,
And
I
you know,
think-
we were talking. I mentioned this the other day. That thing you were saying of what if it was the audience that Keiichi saw at the end? Well, here the
Kinda.
footsteps might have been Hanyu, and Hanyu, in some instances, is kind of a stand-in for the audience.
So I'm
still-
kind of right.
I still think my favorite moment with you was that how you figured out what happened in Arc 1, like at the tail end. I'm like, yes.
That was legitimately, like, in terms of the book club stuff, Yeah, that was one of my favorite moments where it was like, oh no, like, oh man, I'm gonna go back and watch that moment because I'm so happy that I recorded that like epiphany, like while it
is-
happened. And
There is so much that would be good to just go back and look at and laugh at your younger self. I've said before that Umineko might be like my favorite piece of fiction storytelling, but that's only half true. It's my second favorite. My actual favorite is laughing at someone who's going through it for the first time. That's my real joy. I am a witch, and I like to watch something's guts get ripped out by unaware little loser baby. I don't know why that sentence took so negative a
unaware
turn.
loser
like-
little baby.
I just like ran out of words to say and just started saying them
Started filling
automatically. And those are just
You
the first
definitely-
ones on my brain.
You definitely need that hiatus first, though. Take that moment to get your stuff sorted
Yeah.
out, handle little miscellaneous stuff, read some other, whatever
Miscellaneous
stories like
stuff.
mine. Get
And-
that out of the way first.
And we got to do, and
when
then there were
you're
none.
ready.
And then we got, and then there were none. We got
Yeah.
absolutely have to do the, and then there were none book
Miscellaneous
club.
stuff. I wonder what that could include.
You know exactly what that includes, Numbers. You know exactly.
Holy shit.
I already paid you, motherfucker. Stop trying to take all my money. Anyway,
Oh, that reminds me. You should also play Inscription at some point. That game's pretty good.
yes, I was gifted it. I
My-
forgot who gifted it to me, but yeah, I
You
haven't played
gifted
it yet.
to me.
No, I know that, but I also
I know
have-
that, but I mean like the exchange. That the tone on that sentence was wrong because yeah, you gifted it to me. It was pretty good. My copy of it's currently broken. And I
Uh-oh.
tried to fix it. Like, I
What?
tried to verify integrity of game files. I reinstalled it and stuff, and it's still broken.
Huh.
I tried to do some modding, and that something went wrong, and then I tried to fix it by doing something else, and it's currently completely skull fucked, totally
Ooh.
unworkable. And
rip.
I have no idea how I'll fix that. But anyways, so don't do whatever the fuck I had to do Inscription. Just play Inscription. Great game.
If you're doing like recommendations, I will say first, read Jan's game, YDSP. Secondly,
Oh
Damn
boy,
it.
will I!
well, Ace Attorney. It's still
yes. I have that on my wish list. Yes. Yeah, I'm waiting for YDSP. Yeah, there's a specific way I want to play that, and I want to make sure that Jan's got everything lined up the way that she wants it, and then I will dive head first into that. I want to stream that of the first little bit of it so everybody can get a taste. And then I want to play it on my own and do like maybe we'll even do like the book club stuff for it. I don't know, Jan. What do you think about that?
I think if people are willing to read it and get it all together, or at least, because I do think that, like, if we do a discussion on it, it's probably going to be like a spoiler discussion, just so that, like, people understand that, because Gale is going to lose their fucking mind during that discussion.
About a specific character, yeah. Well, actually, just in general, like, Jan has okay. So, like, with that, Jan really did create something that kind of tapped into something very particular in my brain, which would make me think, oh, you've known me for years. Sure, right? Oh, no, you haven't. We just met. How did you include this in here? Did you spy on my life or something? But yeah, it's excellent. I would also 100% recommend it for anyone else who likes When They Cry works. Also,
Boy,
would
will
recommend Utena. I'm sorry. I would also very much recommend Utena. It's a
Oh, boy,
fantastic
will
anime.
I.
Yeah, sorry.
No, well, yeah, I think that it'll be a good idea to do a book club for YDSP. I think that would be. I think that I'm down.
Fun. We need to pay her back for everything that she's done for us.
It's true. It's true.
I hope
Give over.
the people who can
I
read
am no
YDSP
longer.
have a great time reading
Sorry.
YDSP. It sounds amazing.
There are content warnings. It's not for everybody. Some people won't be able to handle it. There's going to be some stuff that's just
like
not.
me. That's
It's
the
just
joke
not
here.
possible for every person, and that's unfortunate. But I understand that. I don't want anyone to get hurt. If there's anyone who thinks that they genuinely can't approach those subjects at all with any level of tact, like having them there at all, if that's too much, I get it. That's totally understandable. I want it to I don't want anyone to be hurt by reading it. So if it's something you can't handle, that's fine.
Yeah, it sounds excellent, but like the specificity and intensity of the material has sort of foreclosed it from me until the point at which I've had adequate therapy.
Yeah, I would also say, like, just as someone who is also very sensitive to the topics that are in the game, it never once actually triggered me. There was one point at which I felt was like very affected, like multiple points, but there was one point where I literally like stopped playing because I was like so stricken by what had just happened. But as someone for whom those topics hit very close to home with, even though sometimes, again, it seemed like Jan was looking inside of my brain when she wrote certain things. I was able to handle it. It felt very careful and even like subtle, like very even
There,
hand in how it's
I,
handled. I'm
I
not telling
grasp.
that you have to like. I don't want you to like make yourself read it numbers.
Yeah,
I just wanted
I
to
know,
like
I know.
clarify.
I wanted to add on like a little bit that like, from what I grasp, a lot of it is inspired by certain circumstances surrounding Yon TM, and there is a great deal of overlap between those and mine. We could say, I say, staring directly at Yon from across the book club room with a knowing frown expression.
Not sure what that means, but
We've been through some shit.
oh, okay.
We've been through some shit, and there is some uncanny small world-esque details involved in that. I'll say that much. I don't know how else to say it.
Okay. All right.
Anyways,
So it
Higurashi.
would
Sorry for the
kill me.
tangent.
I would
Sorry.
die.
I'm ready. I'm ready for
Read
YDSP.
Higurashi, and also YDSP, I guess.
Guess what? We will. Yeah, it's coming. It's coming.
Thank you.
And
Sorry for taking up so much time with my game stuff.
no, don't apologize. You
I
made a
think it's
fucking
great.
game. Jan, you made a fucking video game. You made
I
it.
sure like
You
the
did it.
two-
You fucking did it. Like, that's insane. That's so fucking cool. Like, even if it's terrible, even if it's awful, even if it's dog shit, you did it. You fucking did it. That deserves praise alone. And guess what? I know you. You're not going to make a terrible fucking game. So,
Thank you.
just by default, it's like fucking holy shit. You don't apologize. Like, that's fucking awesome. You fucking like, I don't care if you fucking here I'll make an ad for you and I'll run it every fucking 15 minutes on this fucking Twitch.
God, man.
I'll fucking do it. But anyway,
Thank you. You're very nice to me.
well, you're very nice, so you deserve it. That said, let's go ahead and dive into the series discussion doc. Unless anyone has any more like sort of overarching feelings, favorite characters, moments, stuff like that, or unless that's in this doc.
I think we actually went through most of the doc, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah, pretty much.
Doc, we just
If-
did like non-spoiler stuff, but we can like kind of, more generally talk about how
Yeah,
we
if we
feel.
want to get
okay.
into like favorite character stuff, I just want to start off by
Damn.
saying, first off, I really think out of the main cast, there is no wrong answer. But like who you
Yeah.
choose as your favorite, kind of, I think it says a lot about you. But like if Rena is your favorite, you're probably a good person.
I'm
if
not gonna
Neon's
lie.
your favorite, probably also a good person. They're very good people.
What if
My favorite
it's
is
Cake
Shion.
Fucker?
He's not part of the main cast.
He is my heart.
Unfortunately, yeah, I was gonna say, unfortunately, most of the time with otaku, their favorite character is Mion. So unfortunately, there are many bad people who love Mion who are
That's true.
terrible
I mean,
people.
caveat of
Mm.
if you're not a fucking weirdo who's sexualizing her and being weird about it. If you're looking at her and being like, yeah, she'd be a great friend. I would want to hang out with her. If that's your approach, then you're cool with me.
Look, man, and I say man in general, just like dude or, everybody, I want to be friends with Rena.
It's a good choice.
It's a great
Rena is a great friend to everybody.
I want
be-
I
I
do
want to
think
be
Rena's the
friends
best
Ursula
with
Cat, god damn it.
I want
Oh.
to be friends with Hanyu, so that if I screw up horribly in my life, she can rewind them. And all I'll have to put up with is
Everything
some weird
else.
conservative nonsense, and also the ow ows.
Honey, what do you think about this? She rolled down the hill again.
Hanyu is not my favorite character. That's Shion. I'm sorry. It's Shion. I've gotta tell you the truth. I'm not lying to you.
Connection's breaking up. Oh no, honey.
Getting absorbed like a
She's going
jet
through a
fan.
tunnel.
Oh no, she has earpods on. Honey, no, this is wrong.
Oh, that's too good. Yeah, no, honestly, like you could make a case for every fucking character right down to and stopping at Oishi. But
Yeah.
like Shion is
What if I like
I
PA?
love Shion's fierceness. I love how like she fucking just loves Satoko toward the end. I love how she's like big sisterly to Satoko. I love that for her. Mion's a little bit too dick jokey. I mean, at a certain point it's like, okay, you own it, but at the same time, like, come on, like, why are we talking about this? Come on, stop. Anyway,
Honestly, with someone who
Middle
has a
school,
friend
man.
who's exactly like that. It's both incredibly funny at times and also a little grating at times.
yeah, it's like,
Teenagers are absolutely obsessed with penis jokes. And sadly, I'm starting to become obsessed with penis jokes because they're funny. But, like, Mion is great. I consider Shion my favorite just because I like how fucked up
Hey.
Shion is. But
Shion
Mion is
fucked up
very
in my
much
life.
that, like, Mion has that, like, sort of I'm not like other girls, but also not really quality. And also just like some gender going on by calling yourself uncle. It's like, hello, awesome, I love you, I love you.
Yeah,
People
old
can't-
man. Yeah.
People can't handle Shion's any pronoun swag.
Exactly.
You know, it's kind of hard for me to choose like a favorite because it's like, well, favorite in what way? Like, who's the most relatable? Well, that's Rika for me, obviously.
Yeah.
For the past fucking 5 months, I've had these icons.
Yeah,
In terms
totally.
of who I'd want to hang out with the most, Mion and Rena. They'd be great friends to have. Who I'd want to marry the most, Takano, obviously, 1,000 times. There's different favorites for different situations.
Okay, so if we're going with most I'd want to marry, just period, it's Nomura.
Wow,
Please have respect for yourself, but I understand.
the fucking chaos, the shadow chaos choice. The fuck you chose when you played Sonic Adventure 2, you chose the dark heroes first, didn't you?
Yeah, because it's more
Dark
fun.
story.
It is a better designed route. There's
I think-
actual level design in that one. I'm
It's true.
sorry.
I think I just called Nomura the Shadow the Hedgehog of Higurashi, and I don't know how to feel about that. The real Shadow the Hedgehog is Shion. Let's fucking be real. She's
Yeah,
got
probably.
a gun too.
Mion has the gun. Well, Shion also gets a gun.
Shion gets
They share the gun.
Shion gets an AK. Okay.
Shion gets a gun that isn't an airsoft, and she fires
Yeah,
it.
Exactly.
She's
Exactly.
allowed to keep it in the console versions.
But let's be real. Kasai is like the best.
Yeah, he saved my life, so
absolutely can't, like, you can't have an argument. There's no argument. I think we can
That's
all
the
agree.
most variable. Most variable
Satoshi's a good
to
pick
me.
too.
I don't know. Okay, Satoshi or
You
Keiichi?
can read into him some nice.
he's
Satoshi?
very sleepy.
Keiichi.
I'll go with Keiichi, honestly.
I'm
Keiichi's
going
more of
Keiichi.
like a character.
Yeah.
I like
If I
Satoshi
want
as a
to-
concept.
I
Sometimes
wanted
boys
to
are just
sleepy for me.
concepts.
Time to break up the tier list. Let's go.
I literally have the tier list open. I have the tier. I'm looking at people's tier lists, and I'm like, "What the fuck? You put
Hey,
who the fuck puts Akasaka on A tier and not S? Who is this maniac?
Honestly, actually, I would put Agsaka on B.
Who
I
is
feel
this?
like
He's about right.
Oh wait,
I feel like I'd probably want to hang out with Satoshi more personally, just because Keiichi has a bigger energy.
my
Chie. I want to hang out with Chie.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
I
absolutely.
also
He's
want
also
to.
great.
I want to be her coworker,
what a-
man.
Yeah, dude.
I want to hang out with Chie and try to figure out if the Higurashi universe has an Arcwit or not.
I want to try her curry.
Arcwid
wanna
is
try
the
her.
hero of Tsukihime, for record.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they kiss each other, I assume.
And don't read Tsukihime. Sorry.
Don't do that.
No, we
My
need to
own
talk about
clone.
we need to talk about the arcs. By the way, I
Just
need
play
I
Melty
need
Blood
to
with me.
I need to
I need more
release Yoigoshi energy.
Let's hear it.
Are we ready for that?
Sure.
Sure.
Who this person put the president, not the president, the fucking principal of the fucking school at D tier, right next to Cake Fucker.
I mean,
What is this?
Doing that
Cake-
man dirty.
Cake
They put
Fucker
fucking-
deserves a tier to himself, I think, beneath everything else.
They put
Round
Elder
D
Takano.
tier.
They put Elder Takano right next to Okanogi.
What?
On D tier. What
Listen,
the fuck?
Okanogi is S tier.
Hifumi, the grandpa, he is a fucking war criminal.
He's a war
did
criminal,
crimes.
also a fascinating character. He's a B.
There's this one character who is cloaked in shadow, and I have no idea who she is. That's weird. I'm gonna share this template, and then yeah, everyone fill it out. But okay, yeah, I guess we can go right into Yoigoshi.
Oh, that's Nomura.
Oh, is that Nomura? Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's got to be Nomura. What the
that's
fuck
her.
is Nomura doing D tier? Nomura's higher up than that.
They have bad taste because she's very attractive, and I forgive and endorse all her actions.
I want to hang out with Akane too. Akane is pretty legit.
There's so many I'd hang out with.
Oh man.
I can fix Nomura though. Look,
You're
she
welcome to
already
try.
she already hates liberalism. I can teach her that communism is better than fascism, I say, and then immediately walk straight into a brick wall repeatedly, and then she murders me.
You just want to get murdered. You just something happens to your brain because you just the prospect of being murdered by Nomura.
Look, that is an inappropriate discussion topic for this stream.
Look, if I'm going to be killed by
so high. What the fuck?
You know
There's
what?
nothing more intimate than murder.
Well,
Okay.
all right.
Like, I'm gonna be real. Like, I understand the stuff with Irie, especially the anime bullshit side. But if you take him, if you take him just without that part, I do like him a lot. So I'm gonna stick him
Yes.
at D.
Fascism.mp3 is perfect for this moment right here. Just
Irie
It's
Absolutely.
really funny because
Eerie.
yes, when it was in Arc 8 in Arc 8 and like doing the connecting fragments, it was like, oh my god, he's like a real character. This is like really cool. I
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
him.
It
If
was
only he was like that the whole time.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
my lobotomy king.
Also, I finally saw his original sprite, and I was like shocked by how much more I liked it,
Oh yeah,
just
yeah.
because he had visible eye bags, and it was like, oh fuck.
He's got a little bit of something going on in those sprites,
He's
huh?
got a little bit of a swag to him.
Look, I said it earlier on when we were watching the finale to the arcade on the anime on Discord, which, by the way, if you don't know, bobvids.com, click on the Discord link, join my Discord, ask to be a cicada head. You will get into that, and we're doing more. This isn't the end. We're taking a bit of a hiatus, but we are coming back. So if you are interested in that, do that. But we were watching the anime, and I forgot what I was going to. Oh no, I said yeah. If anyone's out there who's good at making memes, who wants to make a cool meme, please do the car salesman slapping the car and saying his thing, but make it Irie slapping Satoshi's
Someone's
skull
head.
like an X-ray of a skull, and him saying, "You can fit so many lobotomies in this."
Bad
Oh,
boy.
oh, damn. All right. That wasn't funny. We're moving to all right, I'm going to talk about Yoigoshi. How many
Let's
people
hear it.
How many people here have played Yoigoshi?
No.
I've only read the manga, which is the only thing that Ryukishi really had direct involvement with.
Does everybody here want spoilers? I'm going
Sure.
to get into spoilers.
I'm good.
I don't
Go
mind.
ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just gonna forewarning Yoigoshi spoilers. I haven't played all of it, so I would like to know how it ends because I had to quit. I stopped because it gets to a point where there is a character named Yae, and Yoigoshi is weird because I simultaneously love the premise and I hate where it goes. I love the premise of, a post, like 20 years have passed since the Great Hinamizawa disaster, the gas disaster. And this is a world that follows where I believe it's kind of like Arc, what was it, 6? Where Rena does her school massacre thing, the gas explosion stuff, but she actually gets away with it. Yeah, and so it basically follows that like the rest of it basically happens similarly to how Arc 3 ends, with basically everything going to shit, and Keiichi basically like being one of the only survivors. So the other thing about that about this that you got to know is like another person survived, and it's Mion, and Keiichi dies, and so Mion is like the sole like survivor of this. And I have questions about whether it's actually Shion, but I didn't get far enough to know to figure that out. I'm pretty sure it's Shion though, because she mentions one of the characters reminds her of Satoshi. And so she did know Satoshi, but like I don't know, it seems more of like a Shion thing to say. That said, I love the premise because it's basically X-Files right out of the gate. It's just like this crazy shit happened at this place, something supernatural, but like something seemingly supernatural has happened. And so you've got two people going in. You've got Akasaka's daughter, and she's like no fuss, no muss, no nonsense. She's your Scully, and then you've got your Mulder, who is just totally fixated on the occult, totally fixated on like the spirit, the supernatural, like really focused on, keeps talking about fucking ghosts to an annoying extent. Like, shut up about ghosts, my guy. It's also heavily implied that he is sick at the beginning of it, with a certain something that makes him maybe think that there are steps happening behind him. So it's a really interesting premise.
Miasma theory.
Yeah.
It's the swamp gas.
It's the sounds of the cicadas.
Absolutely. This is 1000% the cicadas. So I love the premise. I love the setting. I loved everything leading up to what eventually happens, including the fucking Yakuza joining, just suddenly, like, falling on this place. Like, everybody goes to Hinamizawa to figure out what happened because 20 years are over, and it's basically opened up to the public again. So people can go there and do whatever. And so it's basically a tale of, like, who are the people who would go there? And this music is perfect for me talking about this. What kind of people would go to Hinamizawa 20 years after the gas disaster? Are they people with good intentions or bad? We'll find out on tonight's episode. Anyway, but yeah, I like the characters. I really like Akasaka's daughter. She's cool. She's like a badass, and it's incredible. I love seeing Mion aged and like just being a fucking like. She's a samurai, y'all. She has a fucking sword and everything, and she kills people with it, and it's incredible. And then shit gets weird when one of the characters who I mentioned before is similar, who looks similarly to Satoshi. Mion is specifically reminded of Satoshi by this guy. I forget his name. Let me look it up. I totally forgot his freaking name. I know Yae, but like, god damn it. What was his name? It starts with an O. Hold on one sec. Otobe. So Otobe, immediately, when they walk in, one of the really interesting things is like they find a car immediately. And it's like, what's going on? They look in and there are 3 people dead and they've killed themselves. And it's a suicide car. And so it's like, oh fuck, what's going on? What's going on here? And then, eventually is revealed that Otobe has been lying about why he came here and who he came here with. Otobe came to Hinamizawa with these people because he's with the people in the suicide car because he was going to commit suicide. And he, because he's in huge debt, he's in so much crippling debt that he doesn't see any way out of it. And the only way that he sees, like, getting, he was actually, it's interesting because he's seeing this, whatever. I'm not going to get too deep into it. It sucks because Otobe is basically like high tier, like max coward. And he, instead of like helping these people not maybe realize that like suicide isn't like maybe, trying to talk to them in some way, he notices that one of the ladies who's going to kill themselves is killing themselves because her husband made a bunch of money but killed himself in the process. And so he like worked himself to the bone and he died, and she really, really misses him and decides to kill herself because of that. And but I should have prefaced this with a fucking trigger warning, suicide, trigger warning, upcoming assault. What is it called? Spousal assault.
Domestic violence?
Domestic violence. I don't know why I was blanking on that. So yeah, immediately I'm like, oh, Otobe kind of fucking sucks. Like, this kind of fucking sucks. And I took it more as like maybe they're gonna do something. They're gonna say something about his character, or maybe something's gonna happen. And then Yae's backstory is revealed. Yae is a woman with pink hair and pink clothing, who is there with her boyfriend, who has been sleeping this entire time. He eventually disappears, and no one knows where he went until Akasaka's daughter is like, "Are you going to tell us what's in the closet behind you?" And Yae's like, "What are you talking about?" And so Akasaka's daughter, fucking Mitsuki, rushes into the closet and yanks out a futon that Yae is eventually revealed to have stuffed her boyfriend's body in. And so he wasn't sleeping the entire time because he was drunk. He was dead. She killed him. And the reason she killed him is because he's a piece of shit who beat his wife, beat his girlfriend almost constantly, and to the point of her going to the hospital. And the way that this story tells the tale of Yae is so, like, I didn't want to keep going because it is so badly done, where at a certain point they are like, Mitsuki, I believe that's her name, Akasaka's daughter, Miyuki is yelling.
Mitsuki's the musician.
Damn it, I knew I was getting that from somewhere. Miyuki is yelling at Yae because she didn't understand her boyfriend. She didn't understand where he was coming from. And immediately I'm like, I'm out. I can't.
Cool. Awesome.
I can't do this. Like, literally victim blaming. I don't know what the original manga is. I don't know if it even touches on these things. I heard that it's like expounded, like a lot of the stuff in the VN is like expounded on from the manga, and that the manga doesn't really touch on a lot of people's backstories, which maybe was the better idea. But in the VN, it's so unbearable. And then like Mion like leans over and says, "Well, let's see what your dead boyfriend has to say about it." And then her dead boyfriend's spirit descends from the heavens and says, "Yeah, that was totally my bad. I'm really fucking sorry about that.
My bad, dog.
But if you had talked to me about it, you would have realized that I was just beating the shit out of you and sending you to the hospital because I was getting made fun of every time I tried to get a real job. And you hate me because I was an aspiring musician and I was mad all the time and I wasn't working, and you were mad that I wasn't working. But I was actually working. And if you look in my back pocket," and Mion grabs the thing from his back pocket, his corpse's back pocket, and holds up this fucking letter of acceptance to like this fucking like job that he had applied for and he got. And he was just waiting to tell her about it. And I'm like, That's cool. It doesn't fucking matter though, because this is a fucked relationship and you need to get the fuck out of here. Like, both of you need to separate. Like, it's the way it's presenting the relationship is like this, like, oh, it's so bittersweet that they couldn't get their, that Yae killed him before he had a chance to reveal that he was actually like gonna stop beating her. Like, what the fuck? Like, I can't. My voice is going. I can't.
Yeah, like it sounds like they got the basic, oh, you should talk out your issues instead of resorting to extreme measures,
Yes,
without
yes.
understanding the rest of, okay, but not all issues are the same. It's not like you can just talk Tepe out of abuse.
Yes.
That's not how that works.
Yes, like the Higurashi would have been much different if they tried to do that shit. And weirdly enough, Ryukishi doesn't try to do that shit. In fact, going out of his way to specifically like say that this guy is on a specific path that is not like compatible with basically anyone, and he needs to be out of this situation, and everybody in who is like affected by him needs to be like watched out for and protected, because this guy only knows violence. That's all he knows. And it's even weirder because like Yae's boyfriend doesn't have any history of like violence or anything. He just one day decides to just beat the shit out of her because he's mad at her, because on her birthday she came home late because she was working late, because she thought that he wouldn't remember her birthday, but he did, and he's mad because he thinks that she's cheating on him. It's one of those things where they approach of like, oh yeah, the communication, like that's the only problem here. The only problem with their relationship is communication. Are you fucking kidding me? Like I stopped, so I have no idea how it ends. I don't care. I'm sure the manga is better. I'm damn certain of it, because Ryukishi, I guarantee, would not have okayed that fucking bullshit. It's just so maddening, and it soured me on reading any other like bonus arcs.
Yeah, man.
I could
Yeah, that'll
definitely, if no one else knows about it, I can definitely tell you some more about
Yeah, go for
the
it.
manga. Okay. Does anyone else know, have anything to say about the VN part of it?
I haven't read it.
Just from what Bob said, it is sounding, and I'm sorry to bring it up, it is sounding a lot like a David Cage game.
Oh,
God.
Oh,
Higurashi
dear.
by David Cage. What a fucking nightmare.
Hey,
Oh,
that's where
no.
the piss will be. All right. So the manga is only 2 volumes long. It is not long at all. Miyuki is not in it. And Ryukishi said that it was influenced by the book and movie Rashomon. And basically like a story that takes place in a single night where 4 strangers meet and have to kind of like confront each other. So the stuff that you mentioned with like Yae and Otobe and whatnot, that's all in there, basically, in terms of, Otobe was going to kill himself, and then he realized that one of the women had money and didn't take the sleeping pills, and he ran off out of his own guilt. And Yae is still, being abused, and she
What are you laughing at?
Uh-oh.
No, I'm not laughing at this. I'm laughing at something that I saw in a Discord reel.
Oh.
Sorry. No, it's fine.
Multitasking, wow.
I'm
It
describing.
was me. I made them laugh. Okay, so what happened was Gail mentioned Rashomon and gave the description, and I said to my roommate, that's not how I remember it. And then fucking my roommate sent that to Gail, and it made Gail laugh. I'm sorry.
Oh, I get it.
Like, listen, that's how Ryukishi compared the two. Okay, that's the only reason I say it that way.
Good bit.
Yae is still someone who was being abused and had her boyfriend come out here because she was hoping she could kill him and disappear. And Mion is there, and like Otobe is sort of like following her around, like, I don't know what to do, sort of thing. There's also a guy there who's a reporter who honestly does nothing.
Yeah.
He's just kind of there in the background. Like he doesn't do anything in the manga either. Don't worry.
Yeah, in the VN, that's the main character, by the way. That reporter guy.
That's really weird. Yeah, Otobe and Mion are the main characters in the manga. Like the manga is very much about Mion and her feelings about death. So when Otobe is kind of like confessing what happened, she's like, "Yeah, you're a fucking coward. I fucking hate you. Like you were going to go kill yourself with these people, and then you just kind of take advantage of one of them. What the fuck is wrong with you?" And she really is like upfront about like, I think you're a coward, and you really need to think about what the fuck you're doing here. And like he does not end up killing himself. He ends up kind of like coming to terms with the fact that yeah, it probably was wrong for him to take that money from that woman, even if she had killed herself. And she kind of like is like, good. I'm glad you're like taking this more seriously, because Mion throughout this entire thing is just thinking about her dead friends. Everywhere she looks, like she can see Satoshi, she can see Reina, she can see Keiichi. I would say that Yae is literally actually meant to be based on Reina, because a lot of how she talks in the manga is to that same sort of like affect, as well as her design. So it's like that Mion is surrounded by these people who are reminding her of her friends, and she can't, and so she's in this incredibly deep guilt, obviously. So when she is like being very angry at this kid who is suicidal, it becomes actually kind of clear that she's not mad at him because he didn't kill himself, but rather she's mad at him because he's not valuing the life that he has when all of her friends are dead. And with Yae, it is basically that she's going outside to leave with her boyfriend. At least it shows that. And then she runs back in screaming because he disappeared. Something grabbed him. And everyone's like, hey, it's okay. And they go over to where the futons are kept and open the door, and they find his body in there. It's happenstance. And they're like, okay, you must have killed him. It's pretty clear. And she confesses all of the, like, what happened and why she did it. And Mion walks over to his corpse and kind of like leans down next to it. And she says, come over here, you might hear something. And it's him like basically like apologizing and saying that he did wrong. And she reaches into his back pocket and she sees that he had just gotten a job. So it is like what the VN does, but it doesn't like linger on it. It's like 5 pages. It doesn't linger on how or why he started abusing her. It doesn't show her getting hospitalized. It does show that like she's really upset about it and she was really torn about everything because she still loved him, but she couldn't imagine how to deal with the matter. And it says that like he started abusing her like just because one day he got irrationally angry and then it just kept happening. And like there's no reason for it. It just started. And she basically, like, once she finds out sort of like the reason that he agreed to come out with her was because he was wanting to tell her that he'd finally gotten a job. And Mion's like, all right, so what do you want to do now? And she just goes, I will figure it out. And at this point you find out, oh, a bunch of people are here to assassinate Mion.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing's about Mion, actually.
Right.
And because she's there to like find a bell that will allow her to become like the official new head. And so she's like, all right, everyone, we got to get out of here. We got to start moving because like 20 people are here to shoot me to death. They're probably going to shoot you to death too if you don't get out of here. And Yae is like, nah, I'm just going to stay here. And she's like, you're going to fucking die if you stay here. And then Yae goes, no. And she picks up a gun off the ground and she says, I'll deal with it and see what comes. So she's just like, fuck it, I'm gonna defend myself, and if they kill me, they kill me. So good for her. So they go off and they leave and head to the Sonozaki house. Mion is like following the spirits of her dead friends as she's remembering them. And they get there, and some other guy that I've never heard of, who's kind of related to the family, he is like, I'm not going to let you get the bell. I'm going to get the bell, and then I'm going to be the new head. And Mion says, not today. And then he shoots her. And then he shoots her, and she fucking cuts the bullet in half with a sword.
What is this manga? What is...
She just fucking does it. And she yells at like, oh, Tobe, hey, go fucking get that bell and give it to Shion, okay? And he's like, what? Who's Shion? She's like, it's my little sister. Just go fucking get it. And they shoot her again. She falls over, like she's dead, but she's still like defending them. And he grabs the bell and he finds it. And he's like, oh, hey, I got it. And the bad guy's about to shoot Otobe when Kasai comes up and just fucking murders the guy. And he's like, oh god, who are you? And then Mion gets up and she's fine. She's no longer shot. Because it turns out, yes, it was Shion the entire time. But also somehow Mion's spirit possessing her, the bullet killed the spirit that was possessing her, but not her.
I told y'all this was Silent Hill mixed with Metal Gear.
It's very silly. And then Yae shows up. Yae is fine. Literally, Kasai's like, yeah, actually, she completely handled that herself. She's cool.
Nice.
She just is like,
I'm cool with Yae, like, fucking kicking ass. I like Yae, but at the same time, like...
Yeah.
The way the VN lingers on it, and the way it just, like... I can understand this situation a little bit more if maybe it was, like, a one-off event. Like, maybe the boyfriend got super fucking mad, and I'm not excusing it and at all, but it's more reasonable if it's, like, presented in, like, look, this was more of, like, a passion thing, and this is what it took for him to realize that he really needs to fucking stop fucking up. And then that is the sort of catalyst for him changing. Like, at least I can understand that instead of the way the VN portrays it, which is like she's
abuse, right?
Constant, like for fucking months it seems, and then she finally just says, "All right, let's just go to this fucking place, and I'll just kill you." It's fine.
Eric.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think that the manga version of it is perfect or anything, but I was like, okay, this is about Mion and her feelings. This isn't about, like, what's actually true or right. This is the fact that, like, Mion's a fucking ghost possessing these people, and she's bitter. And I think that that's actually kind of interesting in that context.
God forbid women do anything.
That's what I wanted it. That's what I was going to it for.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I wanted to get out of it is, how does she feel like after this time has passed? What could possibly be going through her brain? How, like, I wanted more Mion Shion, like Shmion. Sorry, I'm using I need to use the technical term.
Single Sonozaki theory.
Single Sonozaki theory, yes.
It's just a metaphor.
All of it is
just a metaphor.
But yeah, it was, I do not recommend it. Unfortunately, I love Yae. I love her character design. She's amazing, and I actually like Miyuki. Like, or is that her name?
The daughter.
Yeah, the Akasaka's daughter.
Miyuki.
Like, she's cool. Like, she gives shit to the fucking main character, and he needs to have shit shoved in his face. But like, I can't recommend it.
I imagine Miyuki's in the VN version pretty much just to cross promote with the advanced story where she's also an important character in those arcs and stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say it literally sounds like they gave Mion's role to Miyuki, which kind of completely fucks up the story because the entire point is
and then plus just the authors it treated sort of like an author stand-in to complain about stuff they did not like in the manga version. It sounds very weird and mean.
Yeah. It's woof. Anyway,
if this story interests you, check out the manga, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, it's like fine. It's short, and there's a lot of really cool Mions. She's super badass. She has a cool sword.
I love
the
that
sword
for
is
her.
cool. She also gets
Yeah,
the special sword too.
Yeah, she just gets to be like cool and badass, and it's pretty fun, even though it's very silly. It's like Ryukishi said that the entire point when he was writing Yoigoshi was to give people like clues about Rule Z, clues about like what about the Great Hinamazawa disaster. Because it's like, oh hey, what happened? Why was this sealed off and everything else? It's like 2003 now, and they're trying to understand that. And it's like interesting because it's also engaging with the idea of, okay, so this is after Sumi Horoboshi, but in a version of Sumi Horoboshi where they failed. So it's like, this isn't like this is something that only happens in Arc 6. This is something that happens like generally.
The miracle
so-
never happened.
Yeah. So it's very interesting when you're kind of looking at it from that perspective, and it's like hard to recommend compared to like most things in Higurashi, but I still ended up enjoying it. So,
And I could see that. I could see how someone could enjoy it. Like if you're only there for Mion Chion like shenanigans, like Shmion nanigans, it totally makes sense. Or if you want to like see like what a new character in the universe could be or could like look like, then yeah. But at the end of the day, like I'm not here for like, you know, I want to say fan service, but not in the traditional sense, but just like expanded universe bullshit. I'm not here for, you know, someone to just take Mion and Shion and then like fucking do whatever the fuck this fucking arc does to them. Like I'm here for more like thematic reasons, and it tricked me originally, like initially, into thinking that it was going to be like a really interesting, different take on, like an X-Files take on this situation, but it did not go that way.
yeah.
Rip.
If you want a good story about people investigating the remnants of a village many years after its destruction, watch Noroi instead.
What's
Oh
that?
yeah, Noroi, which is called, which is
The
It was-
curse?
The Curse?
It was the movie I was
By
recommending
Shiraishi.
to you
Oh, yeah.
yesterday, Bob.
Oh, I definitely need to check this out.
it is a fantastic found footage film.
Oh, I love a good
Also,
found footage
highly
film.
recommend it. It
was
like
6.9
genuinely
on IMDb.
fucking excellent.
It's harder to obtain them now, but his other series, he has like the series of movies, the terrifying story files, or however you want to translate it. It's like, you know,
Koasugi, yeah.
Koasugi. That entire series is very interesting. They're very niche, very hard to get a good translated version of, but they're also very worth it, I think. If you like horror investigation stuff, that is a little bit weird and funny sometimes.
Yes. I mean, you're describing Higurashi, basically.
Yeah, actually, Jan compared it to Higurashi, which is part of why I wanted to watch it. And it's like, oh, hey, this actually deals with some similar themes to what Higurashi does. Awesome.
All right, we got our movie for movie night. I'm thinking this week we got ad-free and uncut on Shudder.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
What?
That's where I saw it.
Yo! All right, we're doing it.
Yeah.
We also still have to do
Oh,
Gundam More in the Pocket.
Yes, Gundam War in the Pocket as well.
Oh, that was
yes.
good.
One thing I want to say about horror in general
Mhm.
is that when you're a horror fan, you have to consume a lot of mid.
Yeah.
Mid
Yep.
to bad
Yeah.
bad stories.
Yep.
Yoigoshi definitely sounds like it's like the upper end of mid, but still, it's like sometimes you just got to do with mid sometimes. And that's part of the joy of horror. A lot
Yeah.
of mid.
Yeah. It's unfortunate because sometimes mid isn't even good enough. Mid can.
That's the problem with finding really good shit, is that it's like mid just doesn't hit anymore.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
you have to find trash and even it out.
I
How do
love
you think I've been
trash.
a Silent Hill fan?
As
Like
long as it's
Silent
not
Hill
like
2 is like,
harmful, trash is fun.
I
Oh, yes.
love trash.
but that's the problem. It's so easy to be harmful with horror. It's so
Yeah.
easy to fall into that trap.
Yeah.
yeah.
if you're in it for the wrong reasons, it's just the
And-
bear trap of like what would that be? Just like misunderstanding, especially when it comes to psychological issues. Like we were watching that one movie the other night, that one I forget the name of it, but the found footage South Korean film where it's just
Gonjeon?
Gonjeon. It's just like, really, we're doing the fucking mental asylum crazy people are scary thing. Like, god damn it, can we get past this shit? But anyway, whatever.
I guess, are we done with Higurashi, or do we have more to say?
I've been done with it. If anyone else wanted to talk about it, like that's all I got. All I wanted to talk about was Higurashi. I just wanted to see if anyone else felt the same way. It seems like, generally speaking,
I do have a tiny bit of commentary on an extra arc.
Sure.
Sometimes
We're
I
just gonna
think
talk about Taraimala Shihen.
wrong one. You're close.
Oh, damn it.
Sometimes I think about I think about Tsukiyotoshi and I get angry again. That's all. That's all I have to say.
Which one is that?
One of
Tsukiyotoshi
the alt
is
endings.
alt ending bad console route for Higurashi,
Oh.
and I ranted about it back there, and I hate it with a burning passion. And sometimes I think about it again, and I get mad all over again.
That was
that's
another
it.
thing. That was another thing
I
that
don't
I
really have
wanted
more
to
to say.
that I
It's
wanted
bad.
That was another thing I wanted to talk about, which was how the Yoigoshi playthrough that I was watching, it had choice paths, and they were
all the console ones do.
they were incredibly stupid. Like it was just
No, but you gotta have choices.
entirely arbitrary nonsense of just like, you chose the bad one, that means everybody dies.
Remember when Higurashi made fun of this?
Yes.
Not
I can't
gonna
make
lie,
my voice
like,
higher.
yeah, like Ryukishi literally mentions that on his dev blog, that they're like, oh, we want to add choices, and he was like, that kind of goes against the entire point of everything that I was doing with Higurashi. But also, literally, most people in a public audience wouldn't play it unless it has choices. So, like, what the fuck choice do I have?
What choice does he
the
have?
classic
You know,
choice,
I gotta say,
non-choice.
it can be really hard to structure a very specific and like structured story the way you want it to be, and also include choices that affect outcomes of stories and plots. It's hard to do that right. I don't blame him for not wanting to do choices. It's
Yeah.
not easy.
It's not
Yeah.
easy, and
Yeah.
they clearly didn't like give enough of a shit to like actually follow through, because they did the thing where it's like, you choose the wrong path, you're dead. And
My
here's the other thing:
favorite-
it doesn't like. Sorry, numbers. I just need to get this out.
Okay. Yep.
Just the way that some of the choices are, it's like, do you follow me on or do you stay? And it's like, okay, if you choose to follow her, for no reason, everyone just dies. Like everybody dies. And you have no inkling, you have no idea going into that why everybody would die or even who killed them. You don't even, at that point, you don't even have an idea that someone is actually out to kill everybody. And so it was just this specific choice that is supposed to be like, oh, there are people out to kill us, I need to rewind in order to go forward with it. It's like, that's just such a shitty way to do a choice. It's like, whatever. Anyway, I'm done. Numbers, go ahead.
Yep. My favorite console bad choice thing is Mayakashi, where I don't remember the exact context of the choices, but it just leads to like Kiichi and Mion having a really peaceful, pleasant date on a bench in a park or
Yep.
something.
Yep.
And then Mion just like walks away for a minute, comes back, and he's just dead on the bench.
Sure is.
It's
And
just
there's
sad.
like no reason for it, really. I think like the closest he comes to explaining it is like, oh, Takano walked over and shot him for some reason. Who knows?
What the fuck?
Long suckers. I rev up my motorcycle and the smoke clears. I'm dead on the ground.
That I feel like is, and they make a CG for it. It looks like garbage and shit and terrible. It's very funny. I just think it's very funny. It reminds me of a bad choose your own adventure book.
I'll post the CGs in the stream chat.
Please
It's
do.
incredible.
I really want to see. Oh yeah, I think someone showed those like early
I think they've
on.
shown this a while ago, but I still think it's very funny.
I definitely want to see it again.
They go out for a date on a bench, and
He's just dead.
Takano just pops him in the head off screen
Impressive.
for some reason.
Also,
good.
his arm is all the way across the bench from where his feet are.
Jesus Christ, his arms are long.
His feet have not moved.
Hold on, I gotta
He
see
got
this.
cut in half.
I definitely need to see this. Shit.
It's so funny.
Oh, did someone post it in the? Oh, there
It's
it
in
is.
the,
Oh yeah. I remember this.
It's so good, and I mean that in like the trashy schlock garbage way. It is a really good example of console Higurashi. What if Kiichi just got shot for no reason?
What if he just dead?
What if he just died? What if Kiichi gets struck by lightning and Takano's there to watch and laugh for some reason? And there's no explanation for this because we didn't Tadamatsu Higurashi.
There we go. Oh no.
Console Higurashi, he looks like the way that he's set up makes him look like, I have to imagine what his perspective would look like, what his like shape would be to make that kind of pose, and it looks in my head like a Tetris L piece.
And his
Yeah.
legs didn't move from when he was sitting up earlier, like not even tilting. Like, so I think they just cut his legs off and his arm off and removed the rest of the body.
Neon's like, what the fuck?
That's so good. I'm so happy with that. That is so impressively fucking stupid.
Remember when we were joking about all the ways Saikuroshi could have killed Rika and her mom to get her back, and it just like, oh yeah, a bullet just randomly pings off like a million things and strikes them, or a meteor or a lightning strike. That's what the console bad endings unironically feel like. That's what they feel like.
So good. So good.
Kiichi really took the L here.
The L block. Oh, that's good
What
shit.
a guy.
What a guy.
What a guy.
A real one.
No, Kiichi, you can't eat chocolate. You're a dog.
No, Keiichi, stop playing with that bottle. All right. Did anyone else have any thoughts? Higurashi, any of the arcs, anything really in general?
Honestly, I think we've well, both. Since I got most of what I wanted to say out during the spoiler-free section, and honestly, with having gone through each arc by itself, I think I also really have not much else to say other than just read Higurashi.
Yeah.
Even if you're like were spoiled on some of the stuff, I do think still reading it is such a vastly superior experience.
One
than,
of our guests here was someone who was like spoiled on the existence of Hanyu but nothing else, which is hilarious. That is a very funny amount of information to go into Higurashi with.
That's pretty good.
I just wanted to add in, I think this book club, at least in specific, has been really good to go back and actually analyze it. Like when I read this for the first time like 2 years ago, back in 2020 or 2021. I had already read Umineko years prior. I read it back in 2015, like only a couple months before actually meeting Ryukishi in person. I've got a selfie with the dude. But like that was before I really got fully immersed in my insanity somehow. Anyway, I came back to it, I never actually had read Higu specifically until a couple years ago. And I read it and I understood it. And I was thinking about it and stuff, but actually going through it again with you guys, with this intent of discussing it with other people in good faith, with good understandings of the source material and the politics and the characters and all of that, has been really good. Because you guys have really helped me look at it again and give me a space to be able to think about it piece by piece and really examine it, in terms of itself as a whole, in little sections, how they connect to each other. It's been really great. And specifically, it got me to become very good friends with Gail. And you should watch Gail's video essays. How do you
Now
like
I
it,
can.
huh?
I mean, no, you can't actually, because the only one that I currently have listed has Gosotsu spoilers.
Damn it.
Well, if you've seen Gosotsu, watch that video essay several times.
It's not even that good. I just kind of like.
I like it.
Okay, sorry. I just talk about the idea of Nils Christie's essay on the ideal victim a lot in it, with regards to how that relates back to characters like Rika and Satoko. But that's about
Any
all.
work that Gale
Sounds like a
puts
great
out is
video.
worth consideration and reading and listening to.
And Gail, I again offer my services in any way, shape, or form. If you want to do a video like accompanying piece for like people getting into Higurashi, because you've provided so much useful insight on all of Higurashi, and I just think that you're missing out on so much if you don't have some of the things that you specifically pointed out. Like even just a video on Arc 9 and the thing that you were talking about, that went right over my head. I have no shame in saying that did not, like, your read did not hit at all. And it's like it's such a good fucking read, and it's so useful and interesting and provides so much more meat on that bone for discussion. And that's not even like talking about the fucking the bridge disaster, the fucking context of like the things that you were talking about before. It's just like there's so much that we discussed. I just think that there needs to be a Gale like Higurashi accompanying piece, like some kind of media where anybody going into it, where it's like, okay, stop Higurashi here and go to this video by Gale, so that you can understand the fucking context here and get it. So anyway.
Fucking
Yeah,
annotated.
I second that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I want to do things. I just have my severe depression and PTSD that gets in the way. I was working on a Higurashi thing, but it's also like how best to structure and everything else. But that's always the issue with anything that's an essay, and I know that I don't need to tell you that, considering you know.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
But yeah, I definitely do plan to try to work on that more now that it's like, oh, people actually do want to know about these things.
I
I'm
do.
very used
I do.
to fandom that is not really focused on that aspect of things, even though that's always been my emphasis personally.
We
which
are making
makes me want to try it more.
We're making a new fandom from the ground up. Fuck the goats. It's time for the cicada heads to roll in.
Cicada heads rise up. Chirp, chirp.
Buzz, buzz.
chirp.
Gale is very good at reading media and characters. I say this as someone who has had their media read by Gale. Gale is really good at this shit and understanding this shit.
I solved
good.
the mystery. I solved the mystery with the words, "No one is smiling in this picture."
Mm.
Can't show it to anyone else, I guess, but you know.
Gale is very good at understanding things, and I think more people should hear Gale's thoughts on characters and be correct for once. My God. So many wrong readings. Sometimes there's alternate readings, but sometimes they're just fucking wrong.
I'm cool with
Gale,
wrong
any
readings
readings,
as long as
right?
they're paired
Gale
with
is
the
correct.
right ones.
I'm just, yeah, I like to offer thoughts just because, obviously, like, I mean, I've met people who are older than me who don't necessarily engage with media in the way that I do, and that's totally okay, because everyone has a different engagement with both media and fandom. But at the same time, like, if I can, like, offer some kind of service to others who might not have considered something before, that always makes me happy. Because that's all we can do as a community, is teach each other.
Exactly. And you have so
Gale,
much
you've
to
done
teach.
that with my characters. You've given me something to think about.
Yay!
Yay. Damn, I'm excited to read YDSP. Almost called it DSP. That's a very different
No
VN.
This is how you don't play Higurashi better.
Oh, I need to do that. Oh, I'm totally doing that. Oh, man.
Sorry, I just thought Yudanshi Piro. No.
Yudashi. I can't believe Number said it wrong. This is
Wait,
like
there's
trying to ruin Jan's reputation.
wait. I thought there was an N in it.
Tisk.
Nope.
Is that a different
Yudashi.
word?
Yudashi.
Oh.
At one point, Gail thought it was called Yuri Dameshi Hen.
Yuri
Oh.
Dameshi.
I know
Yuri
what that
Dameshi
word means.
Panic, which is like lily deceiving. So that's the Higurashi arc version. It's the lily deceiving arc.
Damn, I can't believe you made the lesbian deceiving arc.
That's what I thought I heard. Yeah.
That's the whole story.
Deceiving lesbians. Incredible.
Yeah, it's like Yurikuma Arashi, which is literally lesbian bear storm.
I know, lesbian bear storm.
Lesbian what?
Lesbian bear
Lesbian
storm.
bear storm.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
It's done by the
bears
Ikuhara
lesbian?
director, so it might require content warnings.
Mm.
Are the bears lesbians?
You know what, Numbers?
There's not a single man in that show.
Let me send you the opening numbers to Yuri.
Bears
Oh
are
my
Higurashi.
god. There's a okay, I'm sorry. I know this is about Higurashi, but Yurikuma Arashi literally features a scene that is just metaphorical lesbian sex, but extremely obvious that it's just supposed to be lesbian sex.
Oh, okay.
Awesome.
Here, Numbers.
Lots of gay women worked on it.
Watch this for like a minute and 37 seconds.
While Numbers is
Live
doing
reactions.
I mean,
Live.
that's not related to Higurashi.
It's true.
Lesbians there.
Should,
Yeah.
Bears.
should we watch it? Should I?
I would say watch Utena first.
Yeah,
Yes.
Utena is by far Ikuhara's best work, and the others are a lot more messy because he keeps getting reduced funding and reduced episode amounts every single time he makes an anime because he's like a leftist and also insists on making everything extremely homosexual.
Fuck yeah.
Oh, I thought they'd be
Didn't-
like, Oh,
Didn't he want to work?
Did you get to the foot part?
yeah.
Did you get to the foot
No.
part?
Oh gosh. Goodness gracious.
This
Great
live
music.
Numbers reactions.
Oh my goodness.
God.
I can
I was-
feel
I was-
Numbers blushing from here.
I was saying, like, I expected them to all be bears, but there are she
Yeah,
has
bears, what are you
bear
talking about?
ears.
They
is-
clearly have bear paws
There's
and bear
no
feet.
nipples on here, which is a little weird. Do bears have nipples?
They should.
They're
Anyway,
mammal.
thank you for coming to Higurashi chat.
Yeah.
Oh, they are.
It's about how bears are the symbol of how lesbians are presented as either inherently predatory and sexual and harmful to other women around them, or as inherently unsexual figures that are only establishments of purity. Okay.
I see.
Bye.
I understand now. Thank you.
Sorry.
Wait, are we
no,
leaving
no
yet?
worries, no worries.
No.
we're just talking around.
Sorry.
Oh,
We ruined the video.
No,
Wow,
it's fine.
that sure looks deeply homosexual.
This is
Hey,
very
look,
fitting music
the-
for this. I just gotta say.
The premise of it was
I've
done by a famous lesbian mangaka, and he actively got tons of women to work on that anime and literally ran past like everything with them as like, okay, are you okay
I've
with this? Okay, do you think this is sexy? And they were like,
yeesh.
that's pretty hot.
Yeah, I've seen that intro. That sure is a lot of, women who are
Y'all,
sexually attracted to other women.
Hold
That
on,
sure
hold
is
on,
a lot
hold
of those.
I have to correct something. Several people have said this. A mother bear has 6 nipples. Bears have nipples.
Okay. I wasn't sure.
They're
didn't know,
mammals.
'cause
Come on.
I wasn't. I
They're
mean, I
mammals.
thought about that, but it's like, what if they're obscured somewhere or something, or they're like, I don't know. I don't know much about bear nipples.
Know
haven't
so
even
much
gotten
about
to
bottle
that.
dogs, but nothing about
like,
bear nipples.
Yes, I'm an expert on bottles and dogs, but not an expert on bears or nipples.
We haven't even gotten to the part where heteronormativity is conceived as a bullying via Twitter in that
I
show.
like-
Oh God, it's
That's
so
right.
fucking good.
I was looking at the intro, and that came up in my head because there was a lot of women breasting boobly, but they didn't have nipples, and so I was like, is this a metaphor for the bears, or
Did you just say women breasting boobily?
yeah?
That's a very
Yeah,
good term.
and writing women.
Women besting boobly down the stairs.
Yeah,
It's a
exactly.
time-honored classic.
Okay,
There's a
you don't know
part
that's
where
reference. Something I
women
promised
are
that didn't come out of my
pouring
brain.
Yeah, there's a
Did
part
not-
where women are pouring honey on other women, which I'm sure is not a metaphor for anything.
No.
The
Yeah.
first episode is literally a girl blossoming. They're all 18. By the way,
you're
right.
a
I
girl
think you
blossoming
recommended
a flower from her stomach, which 2 other girls then begin to lick, and it is a lily. So
Oh.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
there's a reason Ikuhara struggles to get funding.
Dohi Wario just says, "Wait."
But it's Ikuhara, inventor of gay people.
Wait for what,
want-
Dohi Wario?
I want to collab with Ikuhara.
I may have found this on YouTube when I was 10. What? Yeah, you
Just
found
get-
it. Anyway,
Yurikuma Arashi did come out in 2014, 2015?
Well, there you go.
2015.
Yeah, yeah,
anyway,
that's very good.
2015.
very
What a
similar to
wild
Cocaine Bear. Anyway,
Yeah, so Higurashi.
Basically
what
the
was-
same.
so Higurashi.
Girl, she's
Oh,
very
we're
good.
talking about
Higurashi. Turns out, let me check the time. Higurashi, still good.
What the fuck is Higurashi?
You look, it doesn't have bears or honey or women blossoming or women
Lesbians.
Well, it definitely has women breasting boobily. Strawberry System 2022. Just welcome to the chat. Welcome to the stream. It just says, "Oh boy." Anyway, someone checking out WTC for the first time because of Ryakishi.
Have a great time.
We're
Um,
spoilers. Though we gotta watch out.
We were talking about Yurikuma Arashi anyway. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry about it. But at the same time, we are spoilers. Just FYI, it is worth it. It's worth your time. Watch the beginning of this VOD if you're interested. Can you do that on Twitch? I don't think you can do that on
Yes,
Twitch.
yes.
Oh, you can. Okay.
You can.
Yeah, so check out the beginning if you're interested in a non-spoiler walkthrough of why it's good and why you should watch it. So anyway, go ahead.
Ursula Cat also had some questions for us, it looks like.
Oh, yeah.
Did you figure out all the mysteries in Higurashi? Is anything unfinished in your enjoyment?
I can't think of anything. Strawberry System. Oh, you're in the middle of Umineko, and then you're going to do Higurashi. Strawberry
Yeah, I think-
System.
Oh, go ahead.
I think you should go back and do Higurashi before finishing Umineko. I wish I had been able to read Higurashi before Umineko, so I deeply recommend doing that first. It will give
Yeah.
so much more context
Yeah.
that will make you understand the characters a lot more.
I like how
You
I
don't
know.
have to, but it's good to do it.
You should. There is a lot I did not realize about Umineko characters until after I read all of Higurashi. Like, I am being very serious when I say this. I took a lot of things for granted in
Look,
Umineko.
Look,
And I
I
kind of took your path by accident. I found about half of Umineko and read that and thought I was done, which I actually was not, but I didn't know that at the time. And then I came back to doing Higurashi and went through that.
I'm so glad that that Tell Israel wasn't like, yeah, I've definitely read all of Umineko and whatever, because then I would talk to. I'm glad that we averted the possibility that I would have talked to Tell Israel and accidentally spoiled them. I guess something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I had a sentence in my brain to convey a sort of information, but then I mangled it in the process, and it came out half formed.
No. Well, I at least received it as I think you intended it.
I hope you did, because oh boy, I don't know, just oh boy, I'm really kinda, sorry, the bears and the naked women really did something to my brain. I'm not working so good no
Short-circuited
more.
Numbers.
In terms of solving all the mysteries of Higurashi, I did not solve them all myself before finishing it on my first read through, I'm pretty sure. There's still more things that I'm kind of connecting and uncovering as I reread it. I don't really think I can get into. I'm just answering the questions here. I don't think I can get too much into anything that was unfinished in my enjoyment, because there's stuff that gets addressed later in other works of his and other addendums that I feel adds on to it, that patches up pretty much anything that I didn't get out of the original 8 arcs plus Saikoroshi.
Yeah.
That's all there. So it's like I didn't get all of the mystery solved before I finished, but that's fine. And anything that was missing is pretty much done elsewhere in his other works. That's my answer for you, Ursula Cat.
Yeah, Ursula Cat, the only mystery that I really want to see answered is just how, which I'm hoping that later like stuff Higurashi, the Higurashi anime Go addresses, is just like what happens when the characters get older. Like I'm interested in like this world and how these characters like move on, like especially Rika, like how does she process all this stuff, like Burn Castell, like what is going on with the clear difference that is being drawn between like Rika being older and Rika being younger. But yeah, that's just me.
Robot smile.
Roblox, like god damn it, oh my god.
I was reading off Ursula Cat, but that is also how I feel.
I saw it. I was like, are you both robot smiling me? God damn it. Anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I was gonna say that my one big thing when I was originally reading Higurashi, that even back when I was like first reading all of the other stuff, was I was disappointed with Satoko's arcs, and I think I've mentioned that before, but not in terms of like the mystery, which I do just enjoy, but in terms of like character arc and focus and her interiority, I feel like we didn't get a lot of, and even Ryukishi, of course, has like criticized himself for that. But I think that's interesting, and I feel like Umineko continues to be very engaged in these issues, and like he's constantly thinking about it. He's constantly challenging what he sees as his own failures. So I really enjoy, even when there's parts of Higurashi I wasn't fully satisfied with, like Jan said, subsequent works continue to build and try to improve.
Cool. Excited. But yes, oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah. I'm still like very early into Umineko. I'm only in the like middle, or at least the first half of Arc 2. But
It's
one
pretty
thing
good.
it is pretty good. One thing that's really incredible about like Higurashi and I guess Ryukishi more generally is that we've said this a bunch, but it's very clear that he approaches everything with as much care and consideration and just wanting to make you care about people and also deeply caring about people himself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's very interesting that it's very clear that he knows he doesn't have all the answers for everything. And he's more than willing to like even put out things that are like, yeah, I don't know what the answer is. What do you think it is? Or like, yeah, this might not be the correct way to go about this. This is what I'm suggesting, but like, please think and engage and grow and change as a person every day. It's very refreshing compared to like, not even just like other visual novels, but just like other art in general. Like just to have this art that is so dark and deals with so many dreadful topics and still have this like this incredibly like humanist, hopeful message at the core of like people are good, we can be better, you need to care about other people, everybody including me needs to work and improve every day kind of thing. It's just it's so good.
Yeah, and actually, Olo, I was going to say, have you paused your Umineko reading for now until Bob gets there, so that you can read together?
I
A little
would
bit.
love to have pals.
Please, please. Like, I promise it will be so much more fun to read Umineko. Like you can totally finish like where you're at with the current episode, but I swear to God, it is so much fun to read Umineko with others.
Okay, yeah, I definitely want to at
Sorry.
least finish this arc just because it's like,
Yes.
it's a thing of like I just stopped the thing that I'm reading like in the middle of a sentence, so it's like, fuck, what was happening? But yeah, I'm
You
more
should
than happy
definitely finish it.
to just have like the first 2 arcs under my belt and then to just go with Bob.
Baller. Thank you. I'm sorry. Every time I hear someone's reading for the first time, I'm like, oh my god, I'm so excited. There's multiple people who don't know the ending of that game. I'm so excited.
It really is. Like, I guess my one question for Umineko folks is, I think I've actually already asked this, which is like, does Umineko do the Higurashi thing of like answering everything, or does it leave
No,
like some
not
stuff
everything.
Okay, so some stuff is like we can chew on it.
Yeah, Ryukishi definitely like looked at Higurashi and thought about that struggle and was like, you know what, I'm gonna challenge myself. I'm gonna challenge my readers. He even says in his dev blog prior to releasing the first episode of Umineko, oh yeah, like 1% of people could solve Higurashi, 0% of people are gonna be able to solve Umineko.
I definitely have no idea what's gonna happen.
I don't even know, like, if the basic premise is just like it's a murder mystery. I don't know. I'm kind of worried that it won't be interesting, but
Oh, it is.
Trust me, it will.
like, that goes against everything that like I've heard from everybody. So like,
It's kind of mid.
Yeah, it's actually really
well, except
bad.
Kat is very adamant that it is extremely mid and like low. You know.
Mid Echo.
I can't
Yeah.
ask anyone just in good faith. I cannot ask you to stop reading Umineko, but man, I just want people to be reading it alongside you. I want you to have peers in this that are also going into this without knowing everything. Because if you don't have somebody in your corner, it's just like all of us ganging up on you, and that's not fair to you. You know?
And also just like, I experienced Umineko like this. I think Numbers did also. I was there as it was coming out. I was there as the original Witch Hunt fan translators were doing it, who have since been hired to do the official Umineko translations and hired by 07th Expansion directly to do the Kikonia
The term
translation.
Atlas translation means something to me, which tells you that I was there at a bad time.
But like the thing is, it's like back in the day, it was literally like people would, if they didn't understand Japanese, they would buy the game and they would just look through the whole game and try to look for new sprites. And people would be making up screenshots and pretending that those were real to trick people. And people would be in threads talking for months, trying to like look at the preview images for the next episode and trying to like guess, well, what significance does this have? What is important in this next episode? And then as soon as like they get it and it drops, like it just sort of like months and months and months of people just talking about it and really, really trying to solve what is happening. And there were tons of awful readers. It was hell. But everyone here is really, really good. And I feel like I think you would love Umineko no matter what. But Umineko was made because of the people who loved Higurashi. And that's all of us. So it is made for
It's
you,
for
Bob.
us.
It is pointing. It's made for you, Kat. It's made for you, Olo. It's made for you, Talusriel. Numbers and Jan and me have already read it completely. So
I think it's pretty neat.
So it's not for them.
it's good shit.
It's
mid.
not for me. I thought it was really weird that towards the end of Arc 3 in Umineko, Ryukishi has a special note where he called out my full legal name and address and said he hates me.
Well,
That
that's
sucks.
That's what
That's-
that was. Oh
that's
my
not-
god.
It was
not-
really
that-
weird. It came out of nowhere.
That answers so many questions.
You know that's wrong. You know that's wrong. You know why I know that's wrong? Because Numbers, you don't even know you don't even have a full legal name, and
Numbers has so many names.
I can't believe Ryukishi in the second arc of Umineko said, "Fuck them kids."
In legal terms, I might not have. In legal terms, I might not have a full name. It's
that literally,
complicated.
yeah,
It's
like
very
I have. You are
complicated.
in my quote book, Numbers. You were in my quote book, and you were quoted in my quote book as saying, "Where is it? Hold on."
I'm not sure to what extent I legally exist.
Yes, exactly. I'm not sure to what extent I legally exist. Oh God, so good.
Look,
All right.
I'm not beating the allegations. We're not answering that question today.
I just realized I could imagine Dale Gribble saying that line.
Strawberry System 2022. Go to youtube.com and you can either search for bobvids gaming, Higurashi, or just go to youtube.com/bobvids gaming, and they're all there. I have them in my main playlist, but I think I have to separate them out now because we're going Umineko. We're going. I want to do Syconia. We're also, before we get to Umineko, we're also doing. And then there were none. We're doing a bunch of other stuff. Thank you, Arp. Elise.
Possibly looking at my game also.
Yes.
It's
Absolutely.
insane to think about.
Yeah. With the whole
You
crew.
all again.
Listen, it's like 200k words. So it's not short, but also it's like the length of 2 Higurashi episodes. So like
It's
That's a good
slightly
length. That's a good
shorter than Matsuri
Yeah.
Bayashi.
yeah, so it's like I think that's
Ursula,
That's
Ursula
reasonable.
Cat got through it in like 2 days.
I took a week because I took a lot of time to think about it. Because I'd been talking to Jan about it beforehand because she really wanted me to. Like, she was basically pushing me to be like, okay, I want you to make up thoughts and expectations based on sort of like what you see of the characters. And I'd ask her questions, and I would be like, okay, so in universe, if I asked like a random student this, what would they respond? And she would like give me sort of like the in universe like response someone would give, and I kind of like think about that. And so like I got a really unique experience because of that, but it's like very fun to have that as like a reader, because obviously it also helps Jan as a writer.
It'd be like if you asked Ryukishi and he's like, I can't tell you too much about Rika right now, but if you asked a random villager what their thoughts on Rika is, here's what they would say, or here's what, this other person would say. Nothing that's spoilery, like nothing that gives you like inside information beyond surface level shit, but that still helps you understand. So that was a really fun approach. Thank you for indulging me in that, Gail.
Yeah, but I think Yudashi Apparel is very fun, and I think that if you do play, you should definitely potentially live blog it to Jan. She loves to answer questions, and she loves to be very silly about it. So like it adds a lot to the game when you can like engage with the actual writer.
It does mean a lot to me also. It like every playthrough that somebody's done so far, I've had 4 people play through it now. My roommate was constantly just checking my scenes as I was writing them. Gail played through it when my script was done. Every time somebody does it, it gives me something new to think about. And I was like, oh, that event is actually supposed to be happening on this part of the storyline. Or, oh, now that I think about it, this should happen there. There was a point when Gail was going through it where I was making like new builds as they were reading and going, okay, here's a new build. Now read this one instead. So like I was changing things just a little bit ahead of where Gail was, just so that they would have the optimal experience.
I literally have like I think at least 7 builds of the game downloaded from that time period.
Hell yeah.
Sorry, I think it's a really great experience. I love YDSP. I love Higurashi. I love that it has led me to actually getting to know a lot of people and to take my own sort of like work and ideas seriously as like someone who analyzes things a lot. And yeah, just all around awesome. Happy.
All around awesome and happy.
I love everyone in here. I love Higurashi. I love Ryukishi. I love Umineko. I love a lot of things. I'm a being of pure love and joy tonight.
That's good.
I'm spreading Christmas cheer.
Spreading bottles to all the dogs.
Is this because you
Halloween
saw the
party.
I think we know why. Yeah, the real reason why
It has
Numbers is having
nothing to
a
do with
great
that.
night.
It has nothing to do with that. I swear. I promise.
Look, we all know what happens when you watch, ladies cover themselves in honey and then blossom.
God.
We
You'll
get
have a
it.
very nice night.
Oh, actually, you know what? Let me send numbers a different scene.
Oh no.
What are you doing to me?
I'm gonna send you the scene from the Higurashi anime. Guess what? It involves piss. Anyway,
Oh, I hate
Oh,
piss.
if we do a Nutella book club, I will
Oh
go
my
insane.
God.
By the way, I think
Yeah.
a lot of us would. It's
Dinner.
very good, and there's
Very good.
and also like the other thing that's interesting about it is like if you like David Lynch and sort of like his thoughts about that kind of stuff, if you like Twin Peaks and other things like that, I think you would just straight up like Utena. If you can deal with the content of Twin Peaks, you 100% can deal with anything in Utena, because Utena is a lot more even-handed sometimes than David Lynch's.
They
Not out of
wanted to
disrespect.
collab, didn't they?
Yes, they're friends.
Revolutionary Girl Utena.
Yeah.
There
It is
you
so
go.
worth it. The movie is good in this one part. People are going to clown on it, but this one part, it makes sense. Okay, when we get there, when you get there, ask me and I will explain it to you because it makes sense.
I
If you've
love
seen the
cars.
movie, you know what I'm talking about. It makes sense. Okay, God, it's a metaphor. Fuck, God damn it. It makes sense.
It's a metaphor. It's a metaphor. All right, y'all. I think we're good on Higurashi as my second VN ever after Doki Doki Literature Club. I am.
Yes.
Which is all right. It's
Yeah.
all right.
I have feasted, and I am continuing to look for more. Thank you everybody for joining. Unless
Chat.
does anyone else have anything else to say?
I have a final comment I've been preparing for weeks.
Well, hold on. Does anyone else, anyone who hasn't talked much, Tal, Tal and Olo, I feel like y'all have been maybe a little bit quieter. Do you have anything to talk about? Anything to say before we get out of here? House of Fata Morgana, yeah.
I will say, get involved with your local government. It is, I won't lie, it's usually pretty boring, but you can find some just incredible drama going on at like like local government levels. It's pretty great. Oh yeah, and like the secret message of Higurashi is communism, of course, but like
Always.
genuinely,
Of course.
you would be surprised at what kind of like support you can find even in your local area, because I am in South Texas. I did not expect to find more than like 3 people who even knew what like who Karl Marx was, and
What a
we ended up
guy.
we managed to get two people elected onto our 7-person city council who are either sympathetic to the DSA or, in one case, an actual just fucking member. Like, you can do it. Local politics are very boring, but on the upside, they have a pretty big effect on your life, and also, because they're boring, there's not as much competition as you would think. You can get some commies in there.
I love communists.
Hell yeah!
They're the best. Communism appreciators. Tal, did you have anything to talk about? Anything to say before
I
we
don't
sign
think
off?
so. I think between the things other people have said and the things I said on past on past streams, I think more or less what is in my brain that needed to be expressed has been expressed.
Okay, cool. Alrighty, and with that, numbers, what would you like to hit us with?
We'll see you again when something else cries.
I like it. All right, y'all. I am looping Air Piz because I love Air Piz, and I can't imagine stopping the Higurashi book clubs without a better song. Y'all, this was a treat. I'm really excited to continue doing it. This isn't the end. This isn't goodbye. We are taking a little break. And for anyone who doesn't know, I am taking a hiatus from streaming for the foreseeable future so that I can work on a project of my own for a video essay that will be Indestructible Cat is going to fucking hate.
Oh my god.
Indestructible Cat hates videos longer than 20 minutes. So
It's like 2 hours. please.
20, like
I-
15 minutes.
I hate videos shorter than 3 hours.
So I am going to continue to work on my video on Bloober Team's The Medium. And
Yeah.
finally get that done and out. But this was such a amazing, wonderful time. I don't have any ounce of like sarcasm in my body. I know it may seem like that, but trust me, I'm sick and it's midnight. I'm tired. So just I'm also trying not to get emotional too, because these are great. And I had such a great time, and it feels like I'm saying goodbye to a cool thing and to cool people. And I'm not. Everybody in here, we're gonna come back. It's not dead. And stick around. We're gonna keep doing it. It's gonna be great, and we're gonna have a great time, and we're gonna figure out the mystery of Umi Neko. It's gonna be good shit. And I also want to, I don't want to say goodbye to Hinamizawa. I don't want to, and all these wonderful, great characters. I said it before, but it's like kind of weird saying goodbye to this like universe, knowing that there's more like down the pipe. But it also, I said it before because like, I'm feeling like how people must have felt when they left the theater after seeing the first Avatar, because they wanted to just stay for some reason. It's like kind of depressing. I don't know how you can do that for fucking Avatar though. That's kind of weird. Avatar was shit in comparison to that. Avatar, fucking mid-tier. Higurashi, S. Anyway. And with that,
Avatar belongs.
what's that?
Avatar belongs with you, Mineko.
God. And with that, thank you again. Thank you, not only everybody here. Thank you to Numbers. Thank you to Gale. Thank you to Indestructible Cat. Thank you, Olo. Also welcome, Olo, for showing up late. I wanted to make sure that you got credit for showing up. Thank you, Tal's real. And thank you, Jan. Thank you, everybody. And thank everybody in the chat. Ursula Cat. Everybody here, Dohi Wario, all the regulars, if I Miss Insanity, y'all are fantastic. And for all the new people who I'm seeing, like Call Me Chemical and Strawberry System, who I hope left, because we're talking major spoilers. I really hope we didn't spoil anything for them. But yeah, we'll be back. I'll be back. It'll be great. We'll have a great time. Thanks for joining. Thanks for reading. And we'll catch you in the next one. Reminder, the next one is going to be And Then There Were None. And I don't know if we're going to do that before or after YDSP. I want to say that I don't know. It depends. It depends on how far I get on my video essay in the next couple weeks. But yeah, stick around. It's either going to be YDSP or And Then There Were None. And then we're going to go into Umi Neko. So thanks again for watching. I hope you all have a great night. Peace. Treat each other well out there. Bye.
See you.
Bye.
Oh.
Piss.